Welcome to Survival Sunday League, and if you're impressed with how nice and fancy everything looks, that's because there's a good reason to be fancy and overdressed, and well, not overdressed, and well-dressed. It's because that we have revamped our entire new setup. But before we get too much into that, let me just go ahead and introduce my co-caster today. It's going to be none other than the real Esquire himself. How you doing, Esquire?
Good to be here, Seal. Good to be here.
Yeah, so if you guys haven't been up to date on the FirstBlood updates, then you probably are hearing just now that this month, or this event moving forward, we are going to be running a new Survival Sunday League format. So that's pretty much just good for players all around. That means that we're increasing the prize pool from $400 to $720 per event. So it's $400, $200, $120 for the split there. So first through third all get paid out instead of just the winner-take-all system we were running before. But bigger than that, our new pseudo league system includes entry into an end of season finale. That finale, you can gain entry to it by getting first or second place in any of the weeks 1 through 7 events. And if you get in there, then you will be duking it out for $3,000. So I'm not sure you did the math there, but that is going to be quite a bit of money. $20,000 actually on the line for every 2 months. So a lot of stuff on the line, a lot of things to fight for going on now.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool system. It's cool to see FirstBlood kind of ramping things up. It puts more on the line, right, for these players to compete for. So I think as a product of that, we're gonna see players duking it out a little bit more competitively than we have in the past.
Yeah, I think so as well. And this is a good time for a lot of players to be, hopping in as well, because all the teams that got knocked out maybe round 2, round 3 of the NPL or EPL qualifiers, this is something that you can actually play for, and maybe you didn't make it to land, but there is going to be a round 2 for that later. And until then, you can get a ton of comp experience by playing right here. And by the way, if this is the first time showing up as well, you qualify for this with the FirstBlood app. So that's gonna have you. That's how you get in. But what are we doing here today, Esquire? Because we're playing comp PUBG, right? But what does that really mean?
What does that mean? I mean, it means high skill gameplay, right? We're going to see players competing at the top of their game. Well, I mean, for real though, you sort of mentioned it, right? A lot of players, right, weren't able to make it into those top 32 teams that are going to be in contenders in Pro League. So one thing we saw from those Pro League qualifiers, a lot of good teams, a lot of good players didn't make it. So where are they going to be? They're going to be here competing on FirstBlood. So these lobbies, they're not going to be easy at all. There are going to be some really solid teams, as we already did see on the roster, at least for today. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you can expect from these competitive games. You're going to see a different level of gameplay, a different level of strategy being employed than you would see in pub games. You're going to see a lot of thought. Maybe you won't see it.
You'll feel it. Your brain will feel it.
If only you could hear these comms, right?
Oh
and
my
the strategy that is employed in these rotations, especially in competitive, where rotations deadliest part of the game, essentially.
The route that you take in competitive can literally be the difference between like 16th and first place. It's so important just to know how to do more than shoot people. But to go along with this high IQ, high skill gameplay are going to be some new settings. If this is your first time here, we have updated everything from loot to circle settings to team player count. So circle settings are going to be slowed up a little bit. This is not really new news, by the way. So if you're looking for an update, this isn't that. But if this is your first time watching comp PUBG, then it'll be slightly slower circles in the late games and slightly faster in the early game. And the movement speed itself will be reduced pretty much across the board. So the speed at which the blue moves. So at no point will you simply be forced to run in a high damage blue zone, and with the blue moving at a rate faster than you can run. You can always outrun it at every point in time, and always have an opportunity at least to shoot your way in. On top of that, we are running with different loot tables, 1.5x AR, 1.3x DMR and SR. So as long as you get yourself a reasonable start for your loot location, you'll be able to have some gear there. And finally, as is the comp standard, playing with a 16-team lobby. So all that stuff is going to be attempting to reduce RNG and will pretty much improve the viewer and player experience. That being said though, Esquire, have you been keeping tabs on like the new competitive settings that have been floating around recently?
Yeah. There have actually been a lot. been going on for like the past maybe 2 months or so. People have been trying out a host of different things. Some crazy loot settings, like 6 times loot, 4 times loot.
I saw that.
I mean, it's interesting. It just essentially is eliminating that RNG factor as much as possible. Everyone is going to be able to find loot. You know, we'll see. We'll see where things kind of go. At least for the Pro League, they're going to be using the what's known as the V4 settings. So that's kind of what has stuck for right now. But it's good. It's good.
What are the settings? Just to elaborate, what is V4 settings exactly?
I'm pretty sure it's what we're using.
Just 1.5, 1.3, 1.3.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's what we're using here. But I mean, it's pretty much just known as the standard right now.
Yeah.
It hasn't been. It hasn't been, I don't know, hated on too much by anyone. But going forward, I mean, it's good to be testing out new circle settings, always trying to improve that, both like you said, the viewer experience, but also the competitive experience for the players in game. You want it to be, I guess, as fair as possible. You want to keep the integrity of the lobby as intact as possible without things happening like, oh, I literally couldn't find an assault rifle. I was down and out in all ways possible. So it's always good to at least be moving in that direction, always trying new things.
Personally, I always like there to be a happy balance between like the amount of loot and also the amount of time you have to loot. Like I know that's one of the settings that's being tested is like 3x everything, or like what you're saying, like 6x everything. And if I'm being frank, I think that sort of takes away from the battle royale nature of the game. If you and this is my own personal opinion, if you turn loot up too much, because then you're not really rewarding players for winning like those high value cities, and instead you're saying like, all right, if you just get like prison and shelter, you're just going to be fine, or all like these like relatively low locations. I think that it's always important to reward players for grabbing higher loot areas, but not necessarily make it so that it's really easy for them to win the game. Like you were saying, it's always good to test these new settings. There's always a fun and new balance we can use to reach out there. But I do think that it might be a little bit too much. I think that what we have now is just great. And I'm also just kind of scared of new things, if I'm being honest. Like now as well with the timing.
Yeah, I mean, it feels good right now. Let's be real. I mean, there's a reason why it hasn't changed, at least for, I guess, the longest period of time out of circle settings that we've had. This has been,
they're so good.
The staple of it all. But I mean, like you said, I think looting, it's part of the game, and it's an area that you can min-max, at least in your strategy. Being able to hold down a certain area, knowing your path through that area as well to maximize that, or rather minimize that time spent looting, maximize that time spent rotating. That's just something that you can add to the skill gap. So I think that needs to stay around and competitive. I think that should at least be a strong consideration. And, you know, we've kind of lost sight of that, at least as I think as commentators, as even spectators over the last few months. We've sort of been drowned out by the loot phase. We've said, you know, it's not really that exciting. But there is a lot happening in there that I think that we could shine some light on. We just don't exactly have the tools yet, I think. And I think a lot of that could probably come from player comms as well.
It's mostly just kind of like trusting that they're doing the right thing. Because you kind of got to like take a little bit to like look at and analyze and see how someone's looting. Because personally, when I'm playing and my team is looting properly, it feels so good. Like, oh my god, they're getting that sector. It's so efficient. And when they loot incorrectly, it's just like, what are you doing? Get back to your looting sector. But this is gonna be it. We are going into game 1 of the NA split. If this is your first time here as well, there will be 2 splits, 4 rounds today. The NA and the EU split. NA, Erangel and Miramar, and EU is going to be also Erangel and Miramar in that order. So before halftime break, we'll be getting our NA games out of the way, and hopefully the NA teams in this lobby will be able to take that advantage to get up pretty early, because I'm not sure if you looked at the team list, Esquire, but we have a pretty good set of EU teams going into the games today. I'm specifically looking at Moonwolf from that list. Team 16, the last team who qualified for this event.
Yeah, Moonwolf, they've been around for a while, both in competitive as well as these FirstBlood lobbies. And there's one thing that they've shown us, maybe 2 things, but the best thing that they've shown us is the fact that they are a powerful squad, a force to be reckoned with. And I mean, they tear through these lobbies all the time.
Oh yeah.
But like I said, you know, there are 2 things, and we have seen Moonwolf on the flip side of that go out pretty early on occasion. So we'll see what kind of performance those guys are going to be coming out with here today.
I believe that for EPL, actually, they didn't perform that well there, and they actually responded to this. They actually do have a new roster going today. You can see them right now that they're bringing in Oko and replacing O'Connell. And personally, I think that replacement might be permanent, because on a different team, on Team Wizards this game. We have O'Connell with his new team. We'll actually see him right here dropping Wizards O'Connell. Yeah, he has the new gamer tag and everything. That's about as official as it gets, I gotta say. So they will be.
Yeah, that's like changing your status on Facebook.
Oh yeah, right it's Facebook official. It's PUBG official, man. Yeah. We also have a couple of the new rosters coming out from Polar Ace. We see Loganberry and all those guys leading the way. No longer having Tanaka on the team, moving over to Halo Klein as a sub. So a lot of changes, a lot of roster swaps going in from teams that literally haven't changed since day one. You know, like Polar Ace and Moonwolf. Like those are some of the teams I've never seen change. But oh my God, what is going on here?
Some early game chaos apparently as. Looks like Moonwolf going to be hiding out on the East Coast, but hiding is what they are going to need to be doing here is washout, trying to at least avoid Sumatra and Nims. But Nims is going to be running into Sumatra's team right there, and this circle is insane.
This is disgusting. The people that are in Nova, there's not the same teams. They just have very similar colors. These guys are going to be liking this so much. In the Novo area, I believe that is going to be Galatasaray eSport. If you can't see that too well, then it's I can't either. I'm not even sure if I said it right. To the west is Geeker and Co. We'll be able to figure out exactly who they are when we see them in game. I've actually seen a couple of these guys in the public games I've been playing, to be honest. Specifically XH R61317. I've seen him a couple of times. I actually did down him one, so you know maybe I can play in some of these games once in a while.
You know what, Seal? I think you could. I think you downplay the skill that you picked up over almost 2 years of playing PUBG. But I mean, let's be real. You were sort of talking about it. A lot of roster changes happened maybe a month or so before Pro League, all the qualifiers for Europe and North America, and then we saw things locked down. Teams, at least that weren't already locked in their rosters, they wanted to. They were forced to, essentially by the rules, find a solid four-man team. Now, the teams that didn't qualify for Pro Leagues, Europe and North America respectively, they're going to be at least free to make changes now and possibly try to find that new four-man roster going forward. So we'll see how it works out for some. You mentioned maybe some big changes here in the lobby. O'Connell going over from Moonwolf to the Wizards. So that's going to be interesting to see, right? Because that's at least been a roster that we had seen not really see any changes for a considerable amount of last year.
Yeah, I actually don't think I've ever seen the Wizards play, so hopefully O'Connell making a good decision to move over to this team. I believe it was less of a decision of him leaving and more of his team dropping him, so we'll be seeing how he plays, and maybe Moonwolf made a good decision, maybe they made a wrong decision. Hopefully able to see the results of that action coming out today. However, looking out from that, we do have two teams here in Yasnaya, Kanye 2020 in the green on the west, and the Wizards, as we were discussing, on the east side. Yasnaya, usually a town big enough to separate into two sides, and it looks like both teams very willing to do just that. That being said, Kanye 2020 parking their vehicles in very vulnerable spots. I saw Spen pull his buggy up just outside these apartment buildings. That is going to be very easy to punish if Wizards heard that vehicle pull up and maybe shoot his wheels out.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Here in Yasnaya, the east and the west tend to be those spots where, at least if two teams are there, that's where they're going to gravitate towards, because, hey, that's where pretty much the majority, if not all of the vehicles are, on that far east and the far western side of Yasnaya. And like you said, it's big enough for two, sometimes even three teams to split up. If they know that there are enemy presence nearby, they can sort of take their time and establish those different quadrants of Yasnaya. But with this far southeastern circle, it's going to be interesting to see what rotation paths those teams will take out, especially when you throw into this. We got teams all throughout school. Pachinki also, two teams very close by to one another over near Lepavka. It's going to be Livid mixed in with some of the boys, Walk TV and his teammates as well.
Yeah, it's going to be General Iron's team, Team Hades, over on the east side. I believe arriving in boat. Sumatra himself, alone in Lepavka. He probably thought he had this for free, but didn't expect to be seeing a team coming in from this angle. And if he knows this, then he really should be leaving. He does have a couple of car spawns on the roads to his west. Sumatra could easily leave here. If I'm him, I'm certainly not looking forward to be taking this literal 3v1 fight. But I think that with this point with Hades, I believe Hades and the rest of his team showed up a little bit late, but with Proximus Black and peeking left, peeking right, he realized something could be going on here. But oh my god, Nims not even in Lepavka, just hopping and skipping over these rocks, trying to find some loot. This is not a good time, not a good circle to be running low and late on loot.
Yeah, no, absolutely not. They're going to have to make that rotation down towards the southwest, right onto the Milta Coast, where we already have 2 teams inhabiting. And then, I mean, hey, let's be real, Seal. That circle, unless things just come back to totally bite me in the butt, that circle is going to be going down further south as we continue on throughout this game. So that trek across the channel will be implicated. So any team that takes a long time to make this rotation from the north is almost going to be punished for it without a doubt as we make our way into the mid game. But it's going to be interesting to see how that happens. Blue zone will be shrinking in on circle number 1 in just about 30 seconds. And there are some far rotations that have to be made, and already a lot of land inside of this circle being taken up as well.
Interesting movement here from Moonwolf. Usually they go for a bridge camp scenario, but this time they're going for a little bit more of a conservative play. Will be Edukaz scouting this out right into the clutches of Mr. Seda T, who already made it to this great gatekeeping compound. Edukaz might have seen something. He pulls off right away. The shots are coming in towards him. Takes a little bit of damage, but some great driving, almost hitting these trees as well. We'll be able to get him here out of dodge.
Yeah, smart scout rather coming out from Edukaz. As a Milta team, right? You always have to expect there to be a team gatekeeping you at the crossroads on the southern side of that eastern bridge. And this is Moonwolf, right? Just pretty much knowing that they sent out Edukaz, were able to bait out the shots. So now they just have to sort of play this deflate, play this little bit of a dip right here on the northern side of Sosnovka Island and see if they can spawn out those threats. But it looks like they're not exactly sure if the split is up there on top of Radio Tower or down here at the crossroads. But Echo going to be spotting out that Dacia, trying to disable that real quickly with some 5.56 rounds out of that Mini 14.
I do like that. We did see a couple of shots ring out in Lipovka in the kill feed at least. I believe that was our single player who was able to get that knock. Actually, looking over here is Led, actually, who was knocked, and Sumatra, who is dead. So despite showing up late, Livid will actually be showing up and trying to fight for Lipovka. Countless and Led in the compound, with Led being down, and a very, very wide switch from Hades, as well as Countless, or Hike rather, arriving on the west side on the hill, trying to provide some cover fire. But this is a pretty long distance to be coming in, and honestly, even a swarm from Team Hades will be able to finish this kill. They just don't know exactly what they're getting into, if it's 2 players or 1 player in here, but that sort of indecision, that lack of a quick response will allow Livid to get this res.
Yeah, you hate to see it. This is essentially just a battle over territory right here. And territory, I mean rotation paths, right? Out of Lipovka, out of this East Coast area. There's really no reason to fight this other than that, trying to free up their path on the way down south, knowing full well it's going to be a little bit congested here. And it's going to be Team Hades actually coming up on top of this, and we'll see. Does Livid opt to disengage off of this? Now that they've already lost so much, Led gonna be spotted out. General Lion, Lion, hello. It's gonna take a while to get these new names still.
Yeah, hello indeed. As Countless blows his head off with a couple of shots from his Scar, turning on him. He held that peak for way too long, and now Walk TV playing a little bit passive as well. No one is actually in position to punish Livid if they go for this flush, if they go for this finish. Walk TV now advancing on the left. We'll be able to hear Led coming in from the right, as well as look from in front. The flush will come in as Countless simply runs on top of it, and all of a sudden, what seemed like a bad situation for Livid is now turning it right around, as Hades is now separated into a bunch of 1v1s, unable to finish their downs.
Yeah, currently a 3v3 situation. Hit going to be dropped down and flushed out almost immediately by Walk TV with the Scar. So now a 2v3 in favor of Team Hades, but Proximus Blackfang going to be spotted out as well. Countless evening the odds once again over here in Lipovka, as now the positioning comes out. We've got Walk TV and his teammates from Team Hades trying to hold down in this southeastern warehouse.
Oh, nice.
Spawning out Led once again, going to be knocking him. He's bleeding out even faster, being his second knock here in game number 1. So now it's up to Countless. Does he retreat? Does he try to stick the res, or does he try to defend off this? A nice knock coming out on the walk. Now a 1v1 between Nims of Team Hades as well as Countless from Livid.
The jump peaks from Nims, but he only has 10 bullets. Literally the last shot takes him out. Team Hades, no bullets left, no teammates left, winning the 1v1 for Lipovka. A very hype moment for Team Hades, getting 4 kills and winning Lipovka, but at the same time, I'm looking at the zone. It's coming in right now, and honestly, Lipovka, not really a place I'm interested in fighting for regardless of all this.
No, absolutely won the battle there, but a war is to be fought over here, and specifically trying to make that rotation, trying to recover off of that fight seal. It's going to be tough for Team Hades going forward, but hey, at least they get to say that they didn't go out in 16th place, and they were able to pick up some kills along the way. But back down here on Sosnovka Island, the action continues.
Oh, that radio tower. Oh my God.
Connected on 1, 2, 3, and down he goes. Going to be bleeding out, but they still have angles from all the way up top of the radio tower hill. It's going to be Koski and his teammates finding a nice connection onto one of the Moonwolf squad members.
400-meter shots. We can count the grid squares on the enhanced minimap right there with the 6x SLR. What amazing shots from Koski and the rest of the 4 horsemen taking out Moonwolf. We saw how angry they were. Moonwolf was planning on taking the compound at the crossroads that was currently being held. We saw them trying to de-wheel vehicles. We saw them trying to harass them, even getting it down onto Geeker at some point that they couldn't finish. That team was able to get the res onto Geeker, but now their aggression that they're almost always known for has been punished by simply a better position. And honestly, I gotta say at this point, this area is almost always taken, but I can't really blame Moonwolf for going for that fight, because that player, the 4 horsemen, hit like 3 or 4 consecutive 400-meter SLR shots.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was pretty insane. You know, that radio tower hill, we always talk about it. It's a great spot to get information, but it's usually a tough spot to get frags from. And we're being proved wrong right now by the 4 horsemen as we are watching our second shift of game number 1 pop off. And sure enough, we will be continuing on our path down the Sosnovka Island, forcing those rotations to continue on from our teams riding the southern coast of the main part of Erangel. And a few teams certainly are going to be there, some riding in the blue, some taking those far rotations in aquatic vehicles around the east and the west, trying to get along that southern side of military.
And these long rotations are almost always really good options on military island zones. A lot of players like to wait for the zone to push out players that could be bridge camping, gatekeeping, anything like that. Polaris in particular will be benefited quite a bit here as they are able to move across on the far, far west side. That being said, a lot of the good spots in this zone are already taken. I'm specifically looking at the 4 horsemen, who already have the tactically best spot with how much high ground, how much vision they get from this, but also it's just in their zone. Like, it's just going to be in the game for a very, very long time. If I'm not mistaken, I think this is going to be a very, very high kill game for the 4 horsemen.
Yeah, it's looking like it. They're picking up a ton of information off of this spot, sending Moonwolf off of their previous position as well, and right into a completely different squad. Could be the boys from R5. Yeah, Raccoons Esports now colliding. Some shots coming out as Aka, Washout, and the rest of the crew, Rezu, start to make rotations off of this. They don't want to take this engagement. This is what you hate to see from Moonwolf. When they lose players early, they get thrown into a little bit of chaos.
Yeah.
They're not able to, at least in the past, they haven't been able to recover off of these types of situations extremely well, and they're going to be tested right here as multiple squads are now starting to rein in on their location.
I mean, they're almost always a team that wants to get aggressive. They want to take these team fights based on their position, but now we're seeing right now that they're not playing like that at all. They're not playing like they're trying to take these head-on 1v1 team fights, mostly because in this zone you can't, but also, like you're mentioning, when they do lose a player, they can't play that style anymore, because even if you get an opening knock, all you've done is even the odds into a 3v3, and that's just a really, really hard fight to win. That being said, the spot they have taken is quite nice, especially if the zone goes west. It's going to be center zone if it goes off that hill, but if it goes east, then them and a bunch of other teams that are on this west are going to have a ton of trouble trying to wrap all the way around the gigantic hill that the 4 horsemen hold. Oh, that bastard. Oh, that bastard. Ballin', you're not ballin' today, boy.
He is certainly not balling. Not picking up that very beloved M249 of a little fuzzy Seal. But hey, the Wizards, they're going to be coming up on the coast right there, Seal. They might have an opportunity to check out that crate, possibly pick up the spoils that were left there. If they have any sense in them, Seal, they'll pick it up.
They all have a lot of 5.5 ammo. I've seen O'Connell with the 249. I believe O'Connell is the kind of player to pick up and use a 249. That being said, in this particular zone, crossing that road to their west can actually be quite the challenge, as well as because them being on this side, you know, they're not really contested right now. They might decide simply to not move across this road. I don't know of any too amazing spots that are across the road that wouldn't be taken at this point, so they will simply not be doing that. Meanwhile, on the far north side, oh no, Kanye 2020 spotted out, specifically Gangrene going down to the water, no downs, as they will simply just get shot in the head and drown immediately. That is from the team that is in Novo, Galatasaray Esports, are taking these long, I think that's it. I'm pretty sure that's it.
It's got to be something like that, right? But I mean, yeah, you were mentioning it, Seal. That road was a tough spot to cross. This channel is even more difficult. 3 teams trying to make the cross from north down to south. And
Once again,
Galatasaray. Galatasaray. I don't know. We'll
Galat
have to get a chat confirmation on that.
Galatasaray.
I mean, and they're spread out as well. So, Seal, I mean, they're covering a ton of area on this northern side of Sosnovka Island. But with that spread position, at least, you know, they've got a lot of confidence in their players, but they also have to be fully aware that they're not going to be as strong as a unit, at least right now, if another team encroaches on that position. If one of the teams from the north are able to make landfall on that northern side of the coast.
I'm going to ask you to take a stand here, Esquire. Do you like that strategy?
Oh, boy. What strategy?
The one that's being used by the Novo team, spreading out this far with Ballin, Nada Furia. How do you feel about that strat?
You know, I don't know. It depends how confident they are, how strong their team synergy is. If they've got it on lockdown, then it could be very powerful. But Novo, it's a big area. It's a popular area, especially given this circle with not a ton of landmass.
We'll be keeping an eye on them as they go further into this game. But right now, we do have Polaris in a hell of a pickle right now. He's getting third-partied by both Bottle Riders, which is old P9, as well as, I believe that was Mod Z Esports, a different team entirely, that did end up getting the kill on this player. That was a very, very long-range shot. So I literally... Actually, wow, hold on. Oh my God, so much. That was a 500-meter shot that this team had to make to get that kill onto Polaris. That being said, we do see on the minimap that they're getting in their vehicles. They're going to be getting out of dodge here. Nubakava going on foot, and Darth Viper saying, nope, I am out of here. See you guys later. Literally just catching some air on that UAZ and going down the hill. Bit curious to see the full team not getting in that vehicle, but they do have a backup spawn on the UAZ that they can use to get further in. The new zone as well has popped, so they're simply saying that we are not interested in taking a fight down a player, and will be able to get away from Bottle Raiders before they make the push onto their old position.
Yeah, pretty powerful shift down here to the south. Going to be forcing those teams still hugging the northern side of circle number 2 even further south. So those transitions will be deadlier and deadlier. And as you see, yes, indeed, a nice AWM being picked up by the 4 horsemen up here on Radio Tower Hill. But they've got to be careful because now some of those teams from the north are starting to make their way dangerously nearby. And with those shots coming out, the positions will be exposed.
Oh, no.
We might see Gluttony and Koski getting in a bit of a mix right now.
If they watched this, they could have gotten such a better idea. But oh my God, eventually. XH sees him but simply doesn't shoot. Going to this wizard tower, they can definitely hear each other now. This is a very precarious position that XH has found himself in. The big in the barrel. Very good close range gun, but will not be able to win. Gluttony with a great peek, taking him out at close range despite having the barrel, and will be able to retreat back up to the second floor to get himself healed back up. Hopefully his team is here, just what we see in the minimap that Uno is getting some fire out on the far side. But now look at this, a huge fight breaking up between Galactic who has formed up versus the Wizards. Wizards having a great initial fight, getting 2 knocks here and a single flush. MCMV is trying to hold as long as he can. Meanwhile, Ballin retreating down the back, trying to get away from this, getting shot in the back. However, that being said, no more shots ringing in his direction. I believe he was able to get over this ridge, leaving his teammates essentially all to die. That being said, at this point, with the fight starting off that bad, I think that's the right play for Ballin.
Yeah, O'Connell and Karras going to be wrapping around that eastern side, trying to get a full flank onto Ballin and his teammates. Rip 9 going to be dropped down very low as well, but the battle continues to rage on up here on the hill. The 4 horsemen now going to be taking some casualties. Gluttony able to at least recover the HP off of that inside of the top floor of the Harry Potter, as 2 of the members of the team right below him, I believe, Seal, correct me if I'm wrong, what team is that?
That is Avengeful on the first floor versus the 4 horsemen on the second.
Okay, there you go.
It appears that Gluttony has finally gotten the reinforcements he so desperately needed. XH was also able to get revived in the downtime. They are aware of Uno on the right side. He has been hurt a little bit and actually is healing right now, and Giger's still watching it. But it looks like with Avengeful, they're waiting to win a peak before they can get much done. But besides that, the 4 horsemen have such a superior position around them that they're just trying to kind of wait and win a peak battle. But oh no, a frag from XH doesn't actually get him killed, but will force him back. Actually, oh my God, in the kill feed, we actually see Ballin taking down the Wizards, who appear to have a very, very good start to that fight. They're now going to be going down. Not going to stop him from going down and out, however, to Tanaka and O'Connell.
Yeah, so that's a tough go right there. You know, we expected that team, Galatasaray up from the north, to have at least a better run there based off of their position. But still over here on that eastern side of Radio Tower Hill, now forced down to the base by virtue of those rotations. This engagement continues to at least get a standstill as these players are both trying to recover from this. Gluttony dropped down very low. Koski going to be knocked as well. So the 4 horsemen are losing a little bit in terms of attrition, as they just trying to hold on to this dip, not wanting to over-aggress this and give too much over to Slippy Zerg and his teammates.
Yeah, like they have a numbers advantage, but they also have a really good dip. This lets them win a peak battle relatively easily, but they need to actually win said peak battle before they make any push. But oh, look at that, Uno getting the knock. This could be what the 4 horsemen need as he takes Slippy Zerg's head off during that time. Could we see Moonwolf take down Connie 2020? They did not make their crossing well from the river straight. Uno putting up some suppressing fire, not even seeing them, but simply trying to make some noise. XH leaving on the side, and Booyakai as well advancing further along the east side. They're trying to find some cheeky frags, trying to find some cheeky angles. Can't quite find it, but they have gotten themselves into a secure 2v4 situation. That 2v4 is going to be enough for XH to try to get out of dodge. Geeker left behind, try to hold them off. He does get one down to Koski. Tries to go for the flush, he does, but Koski able to crawl under just in time. Booyakai going for a bandage. No one able to help Koski on his push. Booyakai trying to take down this player. Geeker inside the shed, but playing this far split will allow Koski to go down. Booyakai now going on the right side. See the res go down. Goes to the flush instead, and XH able to turn on Booyakai. This push from the 4 horsemen is going so poorly, so quickly.
Yeah, tough go right there. Booyakai going to be dropped almost immediately as XA pulls off the res, but now he has to reset this. Gluttony going to be coming down from the top of the hill using this tree as a little bit of cover to work off of. You know, Gluttony was previously taken down very low, but some nice spray coming over the top of the hill. He's able to find the connection, and down goes Avengeful in 11th position, leaving us with just 10 teams remaining past that 20-minute mark, but the circle continues to shrink seal. All of the water going to be shifted out here up towards the northeast. All landmass in play, and now Moonwolf's position looking even better over there on the western side of this phase.
Oh my goodness. It was a bit of an awkward fight there from the 4 horsemen, but being able to claim the northern half of the zone is a pretty good reward for that. Meanwhile, on the southeast side, Team Almost now taking out some players, the Wizards, who push across that road a little too quickly. They already got significantly damaged and demolished by a fight against, I believe, I don't remember the team name exactly, but they ended up getting third-partied by a Team Almost earlier, and they will now be finishing the job, taking down Wizards to a single man, to Eros. Now, with Team Almost claiming the edge, will be able to push into the east side whenever they want. Honestly, at this point, Team Almost is one of my favorite teams as far as positioning goes, because we look at the east side almost completely empty, and the west side having, I see 3 or 4 full teams that are going to need to fight if the zone hard shifts away from the west.
Yeah, this is going to be a very interesting phase. At least the next shift that we see will be very telling, and will sort of kickstart all of the remaining action left here in game number 1 of Survival Sunday. I mean, still, it's an exciting time right now for a lot of teams to be competing once again here in PUBG. It's been a little bit of a, I guess if you're not in Pro League right now, it's been if you weren't even in qualifiers, it's been sort of a dry
drought.
A few weeks.
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame too. But hey, that's why we're here. We're running these events, and hopefully getting all the people that aren't able to play competitive into some kind of competitive game. Looking over here though, Wizards. See, I'm not sure if he's feeling too competitive right now. I think he's feeling more like a snake than a pro esports competitive player, as he is hiding behind this rock. A very, very nice spot actually, because there's no reason for any team pushing up the hill to take this rock. It's just garbage for cover. So Arrows finding this, as far as concealment goes, is a very, very nice spot to be. The Almost will be able to advance past him, take this hill. Yuso claiming the east side, making sure no one gets in behind him. But as they're doing that, more and more teams making their way across this road onto the same hilltop. I'm specifically looking at Lazy J and the rest of his team on the south side. There's going to be free agents who could potentially be getting in a fight soon. But the longer they take, the more time they give other teams, like Team 13, the blue on their left side, potentially start taking shots as well. Look at that, Ryuzen going down a little bit as well. I think that they got spotted out here and will now be unable to cross this road, which they do have to do with the new zone.
Yeah, definitely some shots going to be coming in their direction. Phase number 5, I guess being as friendly as possible, almost dead center on phase number 4. No real hard shifts going to be coming out, no real difficult rotations other than a few of the teams that were playing edge in our previous phase, but we're already starting to see some movement come out, some shifts from the Bottle Riders now starting to crest over this hill, spotting out team number 13 off there in the distance. This is going to be Player One Esports Latin America, I believe, is this squad. Yalal and the boys going to be facing off against some grenade pressure coming out of Copham and his teammates. Now Q-ish, the Murloc, and Rinolock going to be pushing up as well, trying to provide some support. And you got to be worried about Player One Esports Latin America right now. They're a little bit spread out in a 3-1 position, up the hill a little bit, trying to provide them with some Overwatch support will be CZ, while his other 3 teammates try to hold off any push coming up on this hill.
Yeah, CZ with the Shed in the dead center of zone. Gonna be pretty hard to push that. A lot of fights beginning to get near their breaking point as Moonwolf on the far northwest are near Mod Z, as well as on the far south. Bottle Riders getting very, very close, beginning their push now against this team, against Player One Esports. Copham not feeling too good about this right now, actually. He was realizing his team's not really near him. Is he trying to secure potentially a pick with his frag grenade, make this another a 4v3 if he can. Another frag damaging a Law. Herald very, very low HP as well. They're going to be getting a little bit of time here. And look at this, actually. Herald's able to get a knock with a Car 98 onto, I think that is a Rimlock on the back side. So that'll actually stop this push dead in its tracks. Copham is still holding his ground, but earns Zexar, I don't, these names, man, will be able to get another knock onto Copham, sending Bottle Riders down to 2 players, allowing Player One Esports to cross the road and disengage from this fight. Look at the kill feed as well. There's a new team entirely that is now shooting Bottle Riders in the back. This could not be going worse with the Bottle Riders.
Absolutely. DOTA and his teammates were sort of creeping off that southwestern edge as this engagement popped off between the Bottle Riders and Player One Esports Latin America, and now creeping up. They're just throwing out the third-party pressure, able to put out a lot of damage onto 2 of those teammates. Now just need to find a few more connections, and they'll be able to secure this southwestern side of the circle as DOTA finds KOPM, drops him down and out of the game. Now just 2 players left on the Bottle Riders.
Yep, 2v2 going out. Bottle Riders still having a superior position in zone, but they're working with almost no info. They're still peeking at a spot that has been vacant for about 30 seconds or more. That being said, they are allowed to play this passive. Look, they're still in the zone. They're still not getting pressured by other teams. They do not have to move. Meanwhile, in the kill feed, we did see team almost clean up the east side. On the west side as well, Moonwolf just spreading out very, very passively against Mod Z Esports. Mod Z playing a similar style despite being a 4-man. Now look at this, the 4 horsemen saying, we're down 2 players, but we don't care. We will go and stand toe-to-toe with these teams very, very aggressively, and they might get rewarded for it as Gluttony spots out a member of Moonwolf. A bit of jukes and jives will prevent Gluttony from landing any shots, and actually Rezu landing the first one on the Gluttony. Gluttony's still trying to take this battle, but as reinforcements comes in, he's not feeling too good. And look at the kill feed as well. Uno does get taken down, leaving Gluttony all on his own. PLAYERUNK able to get that knock as Uno moved too far down this hill. Now Gluttony disengage and go to the northeast side, saying, all right, no fights are worth it right now. I just need to maybe get this res and disengage from all of this garbage.
Yeah, important for the 4 horsemen to do whatever they can to maintain any numbers that they can going on here into the late game. Gluttony, he's already been knocked once, maybe even twice, lost a lot of his armor, lost his helmet in the process. As the action continues to erupt, this hard shift up to towards the northeast is not going to be friendly for any of the teams that had to fight so hard just to get off of that southern edge, but now they have to continue that fight all the way up here to the north. Player One Esports
is that a 249?
going to be positioned down and out. The M249 is on the back right here of this member of
team. There's Evasion. Oh my god. And Tanaka gets his favorite gun, the VSS, as well. So the 249, the VSS, and a DP on Mime. These guys are running like a really eclectic set of weapons. Even Evasion with the 4X AK suppressed. Like, this is a really weird loadout from all these guys. But they also have a really good spot in the zone. Even with a weird loadout, they do have almost the entire east side all to their own. There's a couple of solos and other players rotating around to that angle, but I don't think they'll be losing any of these fights with a 4-man advantage.
Yeah, they're loving their position right there on the east. Still, they don't have much to worry about at all, especially with all of these teams now gravitating over towards the western side of things. As Rezu finds the connections on to Reed, and Washout going to be following up with a headshot on to Pola Daruk, and that's going to be 2 members going down and out of this squad right here. Mod Z Esports trying to do whatever they can to sustain through this Moonwolf onslaught. Now coming down on top of them from that western position, Smash Bay and Lipson going to be the only remaining players still up for Mod Z. Not going for those reses just yet, in fear of that damage being applied from not just the west, not just from Moonwolf, but our teams down to the southeast as well.
Yeah, we actually saw Bottle Riders getting a couple of knocks and finishes on this team. And with Moonwolf losing a couple of their players, we see what often happens in these large situations, these chaotic situations, whoever shoots first dies first. And Mod Z Esports able to get another knock onto Rezu as he's forced into the zone. Washout now running into this 1v3 situations, frags coming in from the left, getting third party from the right as well. Washout out of options, forced into the zone and forced into a very, very sneaky strategy as he goes prone, barely on the edge. No helmet, very little armor, and trapped between two different squads, one duo and one three-man. The four horsemen over this hill, however. This grass is going to do a great job of protecting Washout. He's being very careful. The zone is not hurting him. And now look at this. They'll have to fight each other to get into the zone. All these teams on the west side will. And oh, actually, look at this. Oh my god. PlayerUnknown'S esports on the south side. 4 players all playing together on one shack. All will now be pushing out and taking shots as well. But Team Almost might have something to say about that.
And the positioning right there, PlayerUnknown'S esports is absolutely insane. A 2-2 split right now. Very close together, though, but holding both the east and the western side of the road.
Well, that's
making
ballsy.
sure that if the circle shifts to either side, they can provide that support. A ballsy play, but you got to at least applaud the effort right now. It could play off in spades for this PlayerUnknown'S esports Latin America team, but they have to be careful, Seal. A lot of teams going to be coming in, specifically off of this western angle. Washout still trying to creep in. Modzy esports able to recover at least somewhat. Gonna have 3 players up. They were dealing with 2, but they were able to at least keep a safe res onto that one player as they continue on here.
Eros is still alive, still sneaking in this entire time. He might get spotted out soon, but Mime not even checking behind him invasion. He's worried about the west side. He's not even worried about his back right now. And Eros doesn't need to get that far. The zone very, very close. But also, it's going to be on almost his ridgeline. And look at while this is going on, Modzy esports trying to run in, but comes across the wrong player, Kawish, and his teammate, the Bottle Rider, is going down, but not before taking 2 players from Modzy at least down with them. Meanwhile, Team Almost now punishing this ballsy split from PlayerUnknown'S esports, taking Yalal down and out of this game as he advances a little bit too far down that southern flank. However, this gunfire will allow Eros to move in a little, and Cizilin able to get Mime down. That might be an opening for Eros in the south side.
Yeah, incredibly important for PlayerUnknown'S esports to at least put some pressure from this position. And he continues to do so. CZ with a nice SLR shot on the lips of Modzy esports. His teammate Harold able to finish off that kill with the M24 shot. 6 teams remaining, 11 players alive, just 31 minutes into game.
Oh, and look at the kill feed.
Everyone now is trying to fight this. And yeah, the Wizards, Arrows coming in from the backside, able to get behind a team almost, wiping out 2 of those players. Now just 1 remains, and that is going to be the 4th kill coming in for Arrows, the 5th kill for the Wizards. They continue on here, Seal. They've made it to at least 4th place.
And all of a sudden, they have a chance at this. PlayerUnknown'S esports, this can be Team 13, is the only team up with more than 3 players left. Other than that, it's a couple of solos and a duo with Team Almost. And Team Almost, after losing half their players in half a second, they're rocking, they're reeling. They need time to recover from what is all of a sudden a horrible situation. And look at this new zone. It might not look that bad, but there is almost no cover here. The ridge line that Team Almost is on, and their trees not in. Eros' rock also not in. In fact, the only cover I'm seeing right now at all is some of these trees on the west side that Gluttony can use, as well as kind of this ridge line right now that PlayerUnknown'S esports can use. If Gluttony is aggressive, he will be able to flank PlayerUnknown'S esports when the zone does pop, but until then, he needs to be cautious, needs to bide his time and wait for an opening if he wants to take that at all. It's looking pretty good for PlayerUnknown'S esports, but it's not a 1 game yet.
Yeah, and this is where the positioning of PlayerUnknown'S esports comes into even more effect here. The circle kind of just still centering up on the road. It's going to make these players place bets left or right side, east or west, as Tanaka right there. Tanaka not able to have that name Tanaka Farms anymore. It's a little bit too long, but finds the connection onto the remaining player from the Wizards. They do go down and out in 4th place, but a hell of a run right there. Able to pick up a few more kills and a few more placement points before going out here in game number 1. 3 teams remaining, though. It's going to be PlayerUnknown'S esports versus Team Almost versus 1 member of the 4 horsemen all the way up here towards the northwest.
Look at this PlayerUnknown'S esports. They know what they got to do. They know those teams to the west and the east. They want this ridgeline. They want to gatekeep Team Almost, but they also know that that solo behind them could shoot them in the back at any point in time. Harold, focusing his pressure on the east side, does not spot that 1 player on that quick peek right here, but will be able to spot Tanaka as he goes behind this tree. M24 hard peeking that his teammates actually shooting him in the back. Sizzy with another great SLR play, taking Tanaka down and out of this game, and his player is spotted in the grass as well. Sizzy with his SLR is on fire, and now they know the east is down. They saw Gluttony, they saw the smoke clouds, they know exactly where the last player in this game is, and they should be able to short this one out at any second.
Yeah, Player One Esports making great
Sizzy.
work here of those teams in the late game, and that's going to be Player One Esports Latin America coming in with that first place chicken dinner with 6 kills to their name here in game number 1 of this beautiful Sunday set of matches.
Oh my goodness, that was a really nice play from this team as well. We saw at one point when they were playing the south ridge on the south side of the zone, they were under a good amount of pressure from Bottle Riders and instead said, wait, we have Sizzy that's like sitting in the shed right now. He hasn't been pushed the entire time. Why don't we just all go to that shed? And while all that action was happening on the west and east side, you know, Moonwolf, the 4 Horsemen, Modsy all getting demolished on that west side, Bottle Riders getting third-partied and being the third party as well. Player One Esports was just like, all right, we're just going to chill in the shed. And then we'll push out when we have to. We're not going to stick for the rest of the game. We're not going to be too passive, but we will avoid that really, really dangerous hotspot of pressure and be able to push out when we have to with that great ridge line that covered both their west and their east side. They did lose one player during that, but it was certainly feasible for them to maintain their presence while only losing one player, as when they got to the end game, they were the only team up with more than 3 players.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried, right, for Player One Esports when they did get knocked from that eastern flank. I believe it was Team Almost that was able to get the knock in the flush. Yeah, onto one of the players of Player One Esports Latin America. And at that point in time, that 2-2 split that they had previously held, it sort of almost got destroyed entirely, right? It became exponentially more difficult for them to hold both sides of the road like that and try to at least mitigate the risk of choosing the wrong position. But they played it beautifully. They came up. I mean, really, when I say they played it beautifully, I said I mean to say CZ played it out of his mind.
Yeah.
He picked up all 6 of the team's kills, all 6 of his kills, pretty much in those last few, maybe 2 to 3 minutes of the game right there. And that was just all from awareness. Him just keeping his head on a swivel, able to make sure that all flanks were covered. And when he saw a player, he identified the threat first, but then he eliminated it, able to follow through with that aim skill. It was very well played by CZ right there, and we've seen him, you know, time and time again in competitive. He's a good player, and you know, no shocks, no surprises.
We actually saw them as well. They changed their play style when they lost that one player, and like you said, I wish we would key on this a little bit more. They played it beautifully, reacting very well to only having 3 players, because we saw when they were fighting against Team Almost and Gluttony, they were saying, okay, what is the only way we lose this game? If we're shooting Team Almost on this ridge and Gluttony shoots us in the back. So how do they react? They send one player, they send Sizzy, of course, back down to the rock, back to where he could climb the rock, get some high ground, as well as flank Team Almost from the sides. Those other teammates were making a lot of noise, saying, I got an M24, look at me, don't peek me or your head's gonna get blown off. But then CZ with the suppressed SLR coming around the right side, taking down both those players with that very large scope on his up. I think he had an 8x that entire time, able to get a ton of work done. Then honestly, they probably play that more aggressively as a 4-man. You know, have 2 players hold, Team Almost Out have 2 players that just kind of focus on Gluttony. But because they only had 3, they're saying, okay, let's play passive, let's just play back. We have zone, they don't. Like literally the only way that we die here is if we get third-partied by Gluttony. So they figured that out very quickly and then reacted to it right away, leading to a very quick but relatively low kill win.
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, right, all of their kills came at the very end there as well. So up until that point, they had pretty much just been holding position, making sure that those southern flanks pushing up on them were clear. And because they were holding that position, and because there were so many teams down on that southwestern flank that were trying to fight it out, I mean, what was it, Bottle Squad? Or am I blanking on
Bottle Rider, yeah.
The Bottle Riders, yeah, the Bottle Riders. I mean, they were an issue over on that southwestern side of the circle. Also, Modsy Esports, they became an issue. Moonwolf became an issue. They lost 2 more of their members almost immediately, leaving, I believe, Washout to try to creep up the hill. It was a tough go. If you were on maybe the southwest and the western side of those circle shifts, it wasn't easy to work your way in, and it almost protected the teams that held those middle positions throughout the entirety of the game. Also, those eastern positions, those teams in Novo that were able to push in.
We actually saw how big of a presence the Snakes had during that game. Obviously, with Arrows taking down half of Team Almost, and before he did that, they were my favorites to win that entire game. They had that gigantic ridgeline to play. They had the entire east side of the zone to themselves, but that one knock from none other than Sizzy, as well as Arrows able to steal that kill and then win the following 1v1 in the ambush forced team almost to stay on the northeast side. Eros would eventually end up dying soon after, but between his play as well as before that on the south side of the zone, I don't remember who it was. I believe it was, we didn't even say their name during that game, Lil Cromsies, who was able to third-party old P9 new bottle riders as they moved in. We saw that because there was a point in time where Bottle Riders was squaring off against Player One Esports. Player One Esports eventually fell back from that fight after getting 2 knocks. And then when Bottle Riders tried to push in, it was Lil Cromsies, that green team to the south side, that third party of them turned that fight into a 2v2, and they were 6 that entire time. They were just prone. They were just hiding for so long. And even the 4 Horsemen, I would consider them as snakes at some point, being one of the duo teams playing very passively, punishing Moonwolf when they went too far in one direction. Another player from Moonwolf got punished when they walked into the pit that Mods Esports was literally just prone hiding in. Even the squads were playing very passive, very snake strats, and that was the name of the game for pretty much that entire mid to late game transition, is just kind of wait there and punish people that just don't expect you to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it was tough. 4 Horsemen,
oh, yeah.
You know, you just mentioned them. Going into the early to mid game of game number 1 that we just saw, I would have thought with the positioning and the performance, at least that we saw of the 4 Horsemen, that they were going to have a better game than what they ended up having, right? I feel like they had a good hold. We saw them get some huge, I think you said 400, 500 meter shots out, knocks and kills from that radio tower position, a position notoriously difficult to get kills from. But they sort of gave up too much of the area around them for free. We saw teams able to move in from those northern positions without taking anything in return, and that's sort of what led to their downfall around that Harry Potter tower. We saw the fight play out. I think it was Vengeful yes, who collided with them, and we saw 2 of the members, or rather 1 member of the 4 Horsemen stuck up on top, 2 of the members of Vengeful down bottom in the Harry Potter, and then the remainder of those teams just trying to work around the outside, trying to find some flanks, trying to find some different lines of sight, some angles on their opponents, and all of that just sort of caused chaos for the 4 Horsemen, I feel.
I think that it was the crate that killed them, honestly, because I think it's really true, because there was one player that was sitting on that crate for so damn long. He was sitting there just like AK Mini. There's an Omni. He was just like, do I take the I have 2 armor. I don't really need to be here. Hey, Gluttony, do you want this and then the entire time, so Gluttony's like, all right, I'll come down from the top of this hill. And at some point, there was literally only Uno on top of that hill. And if I remember correctly, Eventual came from the Crossroads, and the Crossroads is 100% a position that can be held from the radio tower. You can very easily just sit there on the edge, get shots and players coming down from that compound. And they didn't have vehicles either, because you remember, Moonwolf de-wheeled every single one of those cars. So they walked in. They didn't drive in. They just walked out.
Right.
That was absolutely punishable by the 4 Horsemen. Even the fight they took was honestly awkward, with having players not in position for trades when it ended up happening. But I do think when it comes down to it, that it comes down to too many players just going for the crate because they wanted to divvy up the loot properly. And personally, I hate that. Even when I'm playing, I'm just like, no, we're not going to be doing this. You get the helmet, you get the ghillie, you get the gun. Only send 1 player, because the rest of your guys, you got to be doing something. You got to be watching. You got to be ready for a fight. Because you got 3 players in a crate, then all of a sudden you have what happened to the 4 in this game. Eventual literally walked between the entire squad and walked into a wizard tower and forced one of the most awkward fights I've seen in a pretty long time for Zero Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point that you make right there, Seal. If you're going out for a crate, you said 1 player, you have them, you identify, right, as a team throughout your practice, throughout your scrims, what kind of crates you're going to be looking for in terms of guns. Is your team going to be favoring the the MK14, maybe an AUG? Those are usually the top 3 crates, right, that we see teams going for, players going for, at least prioritizing. So if those are your 3 crates, you send 1 player out. He loots everything. You send a player that doesn't have level 3 gear, of course, right?
Yeah.
They loot everything, and then you divvy it up later, right? If it's an AWM, you give it over to your bolt action sniper player, your marksman, and you toss in that level 3 helmet as well to allow them to take those hard peeks. But yeah, making those decisions at the crate, at the point of conflict, it's going to be punished, and we saw that played out right there. A host of factors sort of playing into any team on the north side, on the west side, trying to make their way in, and ultimately it just came down to Player One Esports able to sort of not third party, but just look around, have that high key awareness, and drop players left and right.
100% agree with that. That was game 1, NA Erangel, that we just saw with the Latin America team ended up winning that one. We have one more NA game coming in soon. It's going to be Miramar, and then after that we'll be going into the EU split. And if I'm being frank, I think that most of our teams this lobby is EU. So they're going to be very, very happy to see that. I'm counting right now. We have almost on NA. Polaris, I believe, is at NA. Kane 2020 is NA. And I think, and then Team Hades is NA, so it's like a 4-12 split for NA to EU. Yeah. So a lot of people going to be very, very happy to be going to that EU ping. And until then, those 4 teams that I mentioned, actually Dusty, Little Crumbs is the team we didn't talk about, the unmentioned team or NA as well. So those 5 teams really need to take these NA games and realize that this is going to be our best time to be taking those fights where, maybe sometimes we'll lose peak battles because of ping, or it'll make like getting knocked a little bit more awkward, a little bit more inconsistent. And this is the time to be showing off your skills, showing off that you can take those 1v1 50-50 fights, and then EU will eventually get their turn. But right now, this is when you got to go out.
Yeah, I mean, it's also going to be interesting, and I didn't really think about this until just now. Sometimes we talk about it, at least before all the new roster changes happened, before we saw teams sort of exit the online pro scene and enter into the LAN Pro League. There are new teams, Seal. They're at least competing in the 16-team lobby. Drop locations are going to be unknown, but also drop locations are going to be adapting, right? Not just new teams where we have locations where these teams traditionally go to, mm-hmm. but new teams with new rosters where new opinions are going to be thrown in the mix. Where not gonna go as far as to say Moonwolf's going to be leaving Milta anytime soon.
No, that's not going to happen.
Some shifts.
Yeah, reactive and adaptive is the name of the game, both in this lobby in particular, but also the pro scene in general. The only teams the only time we'll actually probably see set drop locations is going to be the NPL LAN qualifiers, probably, which are, I believe, happening starting tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken, because there's a lot of teams invited there, a lot of research that teams can do saying, where are these guys drop, where can we drop outside that? But besides that, in every single qualifying event and every single online event with teams that doesn't have more than 50% of the lobby being very well-known, very researchable teams, it's going to be, all right, we'll just try to figure out a meta that goes on this lobby. Besides that, just try and drop as safe as you can, whatever you think safe means to you. That being said, going from Erangel, Miramar just makes that even harder, which makes having good drop technique and a good eye for the plane even more important in Survival Sunday League.
Yeah, no, it certainly does. And there's a lot on the line here, Seal. Not just the money every Sunday, but also able to secure a placement into the finals this early into the season. That's got to be pretty stress-free going forward.
Oh, yeah. Got to say, Player One Esports Latin America are probably feeling really good about potentially securing that. They will need to play hard, though, because that first place with 6 kills, that's only about, let's do some quick math. Actually, I'm not going to do quick math. That's only 480 points. Not exactly. They will need to play harder going at the next few games to secure that. I think they can do it, though. Look at this flight plan, though. It's a pretty ugly one. The east side being favored. And outside Los Leones, the loot in this area is probably a little bit less value than areas on the far west side. Los Leones, however, they always drop Milta. They always drop Los Leones. So if Moonwolf is in the lobby, just give him North Lost. They let him have it. Some people will even try to hot drop them. It never works. They always win. But just here they are. Here they are in North Los Leones.
Yeah, here they are. Indeed, 2 teams going to be at least coasting over towards Picado, seeing each other in the air. This might be forcing one team to pull off of the other, or maybe we'll see a game of chicken where both teams land in there trying to stake their claim to that beautiful casino apartments and arena area.
Ooh.
But Seal, that plane path, it favored the eastern side of the map, and this first circle of game number 2 will be no different. Down to the far southeast we go. We saw a southeastern circle in game number 1 on Erangel, and Miramar is bringing that same type of action.
A bit of a toxic flight plan, but a much more reasonable zone to go along with this. And it looks like whenever 2 teams drop Picado, it's almost always one team going for the cars and one team going for the loot. And it will be P9 going for the loot. But Kiwish actually did not get the memo as Sumatra takes him down when he was on top of the luchador arena. I don't like this from Kuish at all, unless this was a mistake for him to be up here. I think it probably was, considering how late it was. Something might have happened to his connection or something. But he had no business being here. There's no car spawns near here. Yeah, he was stuck on the side. He shouldn't be looting this when there's so many people around. When you're giving a lift to the rest of the Picado, should have just looked for a car and gone right away. But like I mentioned, it might not have been that simple. Might have been some connection problems.
Yeah, who knows? But certainly not the way that you would be playing if you did have a full connection. As we start to see Moonwolf's Edgecause pushing over from east to west, getting dangerously close to one of the members of Raccoon 5. Alejo going to be looting up in, I believe, these concrete buildings, and that's not going to stop Edgecause. Going to be putting out at least a few shots, but so is Platinum, another member of Raccoon 5, as Alejo will be pushed up upon Moonwolf's Edgecause down on the first floor of the building, hearing the footsteps of Alejo, now trying to pull out, making sure that Alejo doesn't drop off of that second story. Just trying to patiently wait, trying to find his prey if he can continue to look around the angles of this cement structure, but it's going to be tough. No helmet on the head of Edgecause. One nice tap to the dome could be taking him down and out.
One nice tap could do it, but one big explosion could also. Edgecause probably heard the grenade come out. Alejo heard Edgecause walking around. Slow walking is quite loud. SKS in hand. With the scope is a little bit awkward, but at close range, this gun can be surprisingly effective, especially when your target does not have a helmet. Looking over here, Edgecause hears Alejo on the second floor, is trying to figure out exactly what to do. We do see on the minimap 2 members from Moonwolf coming in to help, realizing that our Raccoon isn't really sending many players in, but although on the minimap we do see another player from Raccoon arriving on the west side, potentially flanking Edgecause if he just sits here. This is all of a sudden quite dangerous for Edgecause. Is he here? Is he hear us? Oh my god.
Oh, yeah. 100%, 100 IQ. Alejo going to be popping out in front of the door, spotted by Edgecause. A few shots going out. If Alejo didn't know where Edgecause was prior to that, he certainly knows now. Maybe one connection, but a lot of pressure being applied. Grenades now starting to come in as members from both teams are colliding on this structure where previously one member from each team was
Marlong!
Holding, but the shots coming out. Akko going to be connecting onto Alejo, but here comes Marlong, another member of the Raccoon 5 squad, able to find some nice headshots.
Backing off from Rezu, Edgecause pressuring on the southwest side, but he will be able to use that great ridgeline to back off once again, getting that free kill onto Akko and no trade in sight for Moonwolf. Not pushing onto R5 quite fast enough. During the carnage, they will be able to get the down onto Alejo, so probably going to be at least a trade in favor of Moonwolf. They're still playing out in the open. They're still playing very aggressive. Moonwolf is Rezu moving up on his own. No one in position for the trade, and once again, Moonwolf just getting too aggressive, not having your teammates ready for the fight. Eventually, Edgecause will be able to push in and get that follow-up kill. But Rezu didn't need to die there.
No, I don't think he needed to die there, but this also might be a power play coming out from Moonwolf, trying to say, you come to Los Leones, you land on this northern side of the road, whether it be east or west, we will push onto you. Don't think about doing it in the future. But I mean, we'll see. Well, I think it's too early to tell that, that's obviously speculation as to why that happened. But regardless, I think we can all agree. So you hate to see it. Moonwolf losing players early once again.
Going down to 2, unable to play their game. That being said, they are an EU team. And with how aggressive their playstyle is, certainly one that is benefited by having a low ping environment. So taking these fights in high ping is all right. Whatever happens. We'll be able to shake it off and play better in the EU split. Comes round 3 and 4. Meanwhile, we do see a couple players trying to go for center zone early. We see Geeker already from Avengeful be able to get center zone. And on the south side, Dusty and Krusty from Little Crumbs. He's taking a little bit of fire here, but should be able to be okay as he goes on in. And look at this team almost getting another crate, an AWM. I believe that is the Arctic AWM. Oh my god, I love these Arctic skins, dude. I bought the season pass just so I could get the Arctic M249, the Arctic Scar. They look so sexy.
So those are your favorite Arctic guns?
I like all of them. I got the 249, I got the Scar,
VSS.
I got the UMP.
Not the K9. The K9 and the new VSS, they're like frost, they're like glacial or something. They're insane. They look so good. But we do have shots coming out. It's going to be Avengeful's Geeker with the SLR spotting out Monty Esports out here. Lipson and his teammate Smash Bay trying to at least find some safety up on top of this plateau ahead of the position of where Avengeful is currently holding out. They need to be careful because Lipson and Smash Bay could put out some pretty deadly shots from that western hold that they are currently at least positioned on top of. But a full retreat going to be coming out from Avengeful as they make their way over towards the east where this circle is favoring.
Yeah, Geeker saying, my dude, I literally have no scopes. I can't take this fight. I can't really hold this compound that well without them. So we'll be intelligently moving to a compound with significantly shorter sight lines, which will be benefiting his current gear situation a little bit more. Hopefully they've looted this as well. Maybe we'll be able to find a 3x, a 4x, and look at this, they're even still shooting the old compounds, so Geeker and the rest of that team on the hill doesn't, or Lipson and the team on that hill doesn't know that Eventual has left yet, which means they might not push into center zone. However, 7 minutes 30 in, zone moving in, 59 alive. We'll be seeing who exactly gets to have a decent spot, because right now, still quite a few teams on the edge of the zone, but also 2 or 3 in center vying for control right now as well.
Yeah, they certainly are trying to vie for control, as those rotations are coming in as well from the northern side of things. Blue zone starting to make its way down towards the southeast. You know, still, it's going to be a little bit difficult. Same problems going to be presented for a lot of these teams that we saw in game number 1. Those northern rotations facing off against Resistance as they make their way south. A lot of teams already favoring this northern side of circle number 1. So if your eyes are set on the southern part of Miramar, the southern coast, which is fairly empty relative to the rest of the map, it's going to be tough to get there. Player One Esports already starting to feel some of that pressure right now as Yalal and CZ make their way down in here through the center of the circle. And some shots coming out. Uno, 47 with the Mini 14, putting out that pressure onto Player One Latin America.
Yep, might be able to get some shots out here, but rest of... Ooh, yeah, the rest of Player One Latin America kind of trapped through this wide switch from the 4 horsemen is sending them running for the hills. Sizzy forced to go west and Yalal forced to go east. Both players finding themselves safe rotations, but just not in the same direction. Going to be making for a very, very awkward middle game. Actually, as I said, Sizzy getting caught out in the open might get third-partied here as he does dismount here in what appears to be the middle of nowhere, finding himself a little dip, getting fragged from the south and potentially pushed from the east. Although it does look like the 4 horsemen have sort of left their quarry B for now. Not sure exactly where dismounted, just going to be leaving him out. As well as the team of the south, Avengeful, could be allowing him to stay here as well. Sizzy trying to leave, but it just isn't quite going to work. He might get trapped here for a very long time.
Yeah, I think if you're Sizzy, you put your gear down and you sit at that rock, because yeah, exactly right. So you're not going anywhere anytime soon, as the other 3 members of this Player One Esports Latin American team are starting to come up off of this eastern flank, trying to provide some much needed support over to Sizzy, spotting out Koski in the middle of the field. He's just pretty much as stranded as Sizzy is currently, a little bit less cover for him to work off.
He's making a run for it.
Will be seeing this 3-player squad. He's putting out the damage, but here comes the rest of the 4 horsemen, Gluttony and Uno from the north, trying to bomb in onto these fields, trying to provide even more firepower.
Oh my God, Harold.
Protection.
Harold going for the hero play, trying to pick up Sizzy. He was able to get a little bit further away from Eventual, pulls up with the Murado saying, get in, but he just doesn't. He's just too busy healing, and now Harold is stranded as well. The smoking Murado left here behind. I guess we have a 2-2 split now, which isn't the worst thing I've seen, but they need to leave soon. This position is so easily flankable. Koski could ruin them at any point in time here.
Yeah, but the saving grace is all of the action popping off in the near vicinity. Wizards going to be rolling up here off of this southeastern corner of the field. All 4 corners of this field are going to be occupied with Koski dead in the middle between all 4 of them. But here comes Karis moving up just a slight bit. Going to be spotting out Gluttony and Uno, the 4 horsemen. This is a dangerous play right now to make. Uno and the rest of the 4 horsemen in this area could be wiped out as engagements continue to pop out. Geeker and his teammates off here to the southwest going to be throwing even more damage up at CZ, and Harold trying to retreat as far as possible using this slight window of opportunity of chaos down here to the southeast as their own saving grace here to continue on without taking too many casualties. O'Connell
and from Old Muno bringing the aggression with his new team on the Wizards. However, Uno playing out, getting a couple of shots off on the Karis, punishing this play here. They know he's there. He tries to use the frag to maybe confirm one of these kills. Doesn't have anything happen from that one, but knows where they're at now. Can easily frag this position. Still, however, a 2v4 in favor of Wizards. Very, very difficult for Horseman to hold, especially as a headshot lands onto Uno. Dicer could flank left here, but until then, still quite awkward to hold with Gluttony in the window and Uno behind this building, but he hears the push coming in. But Dicer peeking behind the box. He does have hard cover. He doesn't need to go all in on this flank, but it does need to end soon as he is getting shot in the back. Actually, Uno is as well. Uno cannot stay here anymore. He's bobbing and weaving to the side, but might be forced to this building soon. As I say that, the arrows in the building trying to jump peek from the window, gets into the window and shoots him from the sill and is able to get back into cover, not punished by the 4 horsemen. And now Gluttony Gluttony left all alone in this compound. Him and Koski no longer even in zone, as during this fight it did shift south. So stuff is just going from bad to worse for the Four Horsemen.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea what's happening on this area of the map. Still, it's like a magnet is in the middle of this field on top of Koski.
So weird.
And squads are just getting pulled in from left and right up here towards the northeast. While this engagement has been popping off between the Wizards and the Four Horsemen, we saw Yalal and Player One Esports collide with what I believe to be possibly Team Hades. I think it was
Team Hades, you're right.
They're still fighting off as the engagement down here pops off. Arrow's going to be knocked down. Grenade pressure coming out as Gluttony still holds an angle up here on the second floor. Player One Esports, Latin America, able to fight their way out of this one, taking out Team Hades in 16th position, but now back here onto this 4v2, basically a 4v1 now as they're able to get the res onto one of their members of the Wizards.
Oh, here we go.
The push Arrow through the door, going to be taking some damage, trying to give his teammates the ability to get the knocks, but it's not going to be working out as well as they had hoped. Gluttony able to get 2 knocks before ultimately going down to the M416 of O'Connell.
Arrow's running in first, and where is he at? Where I'm gonna take this guy out myself. A little bit awkward of a push, getting 2 players down. Might have resulted in a flush if he just hard peeked that, but will still be able to oust the Four Horsemen from this building without losing any players in the process. You can't really wish for anything more than that if you are the Wizards, as they will be claiming the north side of the zone-ish. Well, as I say that, we do have stuff limited to the west. We have Player One Esports, the current first place team, to the northeast, and now Ryozen leading the way here, and the remnants of the Four Horsemen. So, you know, they did a lot of work right now, but this is not the end of the journey for them at all.
Yeah, and this circle is not going to be friendly. Far southeast shift is what we continue to get. A lot of water still going to be in play. The area of land to play inside of phase number 2 is going to be a little bit dangerous. All these players congested, packed in tight and close as they continue on here. Just shy of that 15-minute mark, trying to make their way in, but the shots coming out from Livid, spotting out Ryzen and his teammates, going to send them on an even further west rotation, trying to navigate these very difficult hills to get those vehicles over. No roads to help them just yet, as they are stalling out almost entirely, trying to pick up his teammate right there, trying to avoid the shots continuing to come out from Livid on the northern side of the shift.
Great riding from free agents. This was Ryozen and the rest of them, as to avoid those teams going around that hill. Now over here, Geeker with the ever iconic SLR, trying to get shots into Modz Esport. Modz taking the center zone, both center zone compounds, in a very, very wide split in this situation. Trying to land these long-range shots through the smoke, but it should be relatively trivial for Modz Esports to be getting this res. They've already popped the smoke. They've already gotten the player out there for the res. And actually, oh my god, some tracers coming in, landing on Geeker, forcing him back down into cover. We'll be able to find this cover very easily. I'm liking the spots of both of these squads right now, but the zone does favor the south side of this road, so Eventual could stay here for quite a while, but they might be under a lot of pressure if they either have to leave or when the teams come in from the north. We'll see what ends up happening with them, but for now, it'll be a decent spot.
Yeah, for now, Wizards continue to light up the kill feed, this time aiming their guns over towards Livid, up here towards the north, making that rotation from east to west, trying to wipe out this flank, trying to get a dominant hold on this side of circle number 2, and already going to be kicking off this engagement. Countless bleeding out.
Here we go.
As the push comes out, a 4v3 situation. O'Connell dropped down very low, stalling out the push from the Wizards just ever so slightly, but here comes the grenade pressure. Livid able to pick up that res, now a proper 4v4 leg can be spotted out, and here comes the spray from Karis. His M416 not able to find the connection.
Arrows!
Back around the right side, but it's going to be his teammate. Karis' teammate Arrows fighting connection after connection. A tandem effort right now from the Wizards coming out, able to knock down 2 more members of this Livid team.
Oh my god, Arrows, the absolute best wingman I've ever seen, saving Karis' life. Let's see if his teammates can do the same for him, however, as he does get down in the peak battle versus actually Sumatra getting a second one with his mutant taking Karis down, so the battle buddy team is now down. O'Connell leading the winner on the left side, does get caught out, but it turns on Hike, and no trade coming out yet, but Sumatra peeking out for the real. Dicer nowhere to be seen, getting the res, allowing O'Connell to get flushed here. He does get the res on his first teammate, going for the push now, but oh god, missing that, just bobbing and weaving, leaning left, leaning right, way too much, and while it's going down, another member from the Wizards does bleed out. Arrows now playing prone, playing the right side, waiting for him to come over here, but reloading at just the wrong time. Livid Sumatra just running around on the high ground, running in the smoke, getting away with literal murder.
Yeah, absolutely insane plays coming out right there, specifically from Livid, being able to hold off that engagement, pushing off from the Wizards, who were pretty much in favor of that battle the entire time up until those last maybe 30 seconds, 45 seconds. Crazy to see still, and they're going to be punished for that going out early on here in game number 2. But the Wizards, or rather Koski and the rest of these teams up here towards the north, have to make those rotations down south. A bit of a gatekeep coming out here from the Four Horsemen's remaining member, Koski.
I see Sven in chat. These circles, you gotta be joking. Yeah, he's probably pretty angry right now. He probably isn't feeling too good about what just occurred to him. Over here, though, we do have Mod Z Esports, who are once again going for the center every day, all the time strategy. Rita Lel leading the way here, but Team almost already having the center compound. On the minimap, we do see Polar Race coming in from the southeast. Might be able to flank Mod Z's high ground here if they're not careful, as this compound very, very hard to push from both sides.
Yeah, teams have just been jam-packed next to one another. We haven't seen, I guess, many long-range engagements so far here in game number 2. All of these engagements have been teams crashing in onto the compound or the, I guess, the previously held area by another squad. So interesting to see how this is playing out. A little bit different than what we saw in game number 1 over on Erangel, but as to be expected, Miramar plays out.
Oh god, that's a lot of orange.
Especially when teams are continuing to be shifted. Yeah, a lot of orange. But when teams are shifted out of their comfort zones all the way down here towards the southeast, water in play, that coastal area in play, not really where you see these games tend to end as the battles rage on here. Galatas
Slippy
Esports going to be taking some casualties right now. 3 down, 1 left. The Slippy Zerg from Avengeful finds another connection on top of Ballin.
No need for barrel rolls here, as Slippy Zerg is able to get this first knock without even so much as a dip or a dodge. Trying to secure this kill. Meanwhile, his teammate Seda T with the Tommy gun. You were speaking of comfort zones. Yeah, Seda T, unless he was playing a lot of Vikendi on the first 2 days it came out, is probably not too familiar with using this Tommy gun properly. A couple shots ringing out before they Slippy away, but while it's going on, Galactus Array Esport able to get these reses off as only 2 players up. The boys at Eventual are not willing to make a push, and that indecision, that lack of speed, that lack of high speed, low drag will allow these races to occur, and now they're in a bit of an awkward spot as their southwest is no longer clear, and their southeast across the road also has a teammate in the form of Morrow and the rest of the free agents. So this northwest side looking pretty spicy. That's not going to be ending anytime soon.
Yeah, that was Avengeful's opportunity to at least secure that northwestern side of the circle. Those third-party shots coming in from the free agents kind of stalled them off of that position, and now Slippy Zerg and his teammate Mr. Sedati are going to have to at least pull off of this a little bit, trying to take the high ground on top of the hill as phase number 2, or rather, yeah, going to be closing out right now in just about a few seconds. We're going to see another shift. And Seal, if it continues to go south, just a little bit south, a little bit over towards the west as well. But right on top of Panzer and his teammates, they're going to be loving this in their 2-2 split.
Oh yeah, they're definitely feeling that. Our light green boys in center zone, free agents trying to snag that as well, but Mod Z saying, all right, we were fighting for this hill around center compound, but we'll just go ahead and check the new center, see if we can hold that. But it will be Firefight at Panzer already holding center ground. This is going to be little Cromsies who were able to get center zone after snaking all game last game. They will now have these small sheds. That means that these sheds, they're decent, they're okay buildings, but between their position on the low ground and the terrain around them and how many just sheer ridges there are, it is by no means an easy win. So Cromsy's having a decent spot right now, hard to push as well, but it might not transition into an easy game win for them.
Yeah, little Cromsy's going to be caught out now. Pressure coming from that northern position off the free agents. Morrow looking down, but Panzer and his teammate Firefighter going to be returning fire from this eastern position of the 2-2 split, just trying to hold this. Whatever you see, the directional arrows continuing to pump around in circle, and this is good awareness, necessary awareness coming out of the 2-2 split, just like what we saw Player One Esports Latin America pull off in game number 1. You got to keep your head on your swivel, if not just for information, but also to put on that pressure from all of these teams now starting to shrink in on this centralized location.
Speaking of Player One Esports, they are now coming in on the southeast side. A relatively clear entry for them for now. A lot of hills in play, but if they're not careful, they will be running into Polar Race to their front. That being said, as I said that, we see the minimap Polar Race beginning to receive a little bit of fire from the far west side by the Bottle Riders. So this pushing out quite a bit. Actually, they have Infamous subbing now on this team as well. Quite a decent, well-known T2, T3 player in this team. Should be a decent addition for them at the very least. Playing out quite far, though. He's spotting this compound, but if he knows his best from, he definitely does not want to peek this. Hopefully he's just buying information here.
Yeah, Infamous, a player I haven't seen play some PUBG in about a hot minute. Good to see him back in the scene here, playing for Polar Ace, as he's able to find at least a few connections, able to put out some pressure, getting dangerously nearby, though, to Lil Cromsies in that 2-2 split just over that hill. Darth Vapor and his teammates continue, though, to look on, holding on to this eastern position just south of two other teams, Mime and the rest of his squad holding into the compound, and then off to the northwest on top of the hill, going to be Smash Bay and the rest of their squad of Modzy Esports. The circle seal, it's gonna be closing soon. We're gonna see another shift here in just a few seconds. And where will we go? It's going to be a little bit telling as to how this game will continue on here, just at that boiling point, that 22-minute mark or so of these Miramar games. 14 teams remaining, but that's about to get chopped in at least half.
I'm guessing it's going to favor this west side, as there is a couple of roads there. The south side also having a couple of roads that loves to keep those in here, so I wouldn't be surprised to be seeing it favoring the west or the south slightly. And for both of those sides, there aren't that many teams that can really capitalize on that. There's a lot of teams here on the middle and the north sides, more than anything, if I'm not mistaken here. Galactus Array kind of really going all in, saying hopefully it goes west, because we're going to have a really hard time crossing the road if it doesn't do that. Looking over here, though, Raccoon Esports, they're holding this building. We do have some players outside. He's Platinum, the last player up on his team. He's just hiding. He's just being careful, but he gets jump peak, does get Yalal on the jump peak, but Harald with the trade, able to take Platinum down, sending Raccoon Esports out in 14th place.
Yeah, good breach and clear coming out of Player One Esports right there. Could have been a lot worse for them. It could have gone very much the favor of Raccoon 5 had they filed in one by one. But no, playing a little bit more professionally than that. These competitive players say not a hard task, light work as they continue on here. They get the next circle, holding on to that eastern edge, as more teams from that northeastern side as well as the west will have to make their way in. Washout, once again, a solo player. I'm getting flashbacks, deja vu or something. Seal Washout once again on the western side of a mid to late game circle as a solo player, the remaining player for Moonwolf in a snake position, trying to work their way in.
Yeah, this is going to be real hard. Galactus Array as well, entirely uncontested here on the west side. Only... Be very quiet, Washout. Furia doesn't know you're there, and his squad doesn't either, able to hold his trigger finger back. And now look at that, he's getting rewarded as the team that is crossing the road, Galactus Array, is now getting third-partied by the Bottle Riders. Washout still has a chance yet to get into the zone and maybe get something better than a 12th place. Oh god, that's how this, oh my god, so many stakes coming out here as Morrow just watching these guys as well. But as the engagement starts, Modzy Esports able to make a fight happen. But look at this, Morrow with the ambush on the northeast side, able to get two players done out right away. And now Smash Bay being shot in the back by Morrow, just saying, all right, just take me out of this game, man. I'm already dead. Modzy going out with a huge ambush, but this does get punished for it by Rip9, coming in with a mini from a long distance. And his teammates can't help him. They're busy getting their own reses off. Now Rip9 with a rampage, able to clean up a bit of the center zone as well as further solidify their position on the northwest side.
Yeah, gotta respect what Galactus Array Esports was able to pull off there, moving in off of that western flank, right where I guess where Washout was holding out, and third party and up here towards the north, like you said, picking up that rampage, that 5 kill count onto one player, and securing at least a little bit more dominant of a hold on that western side of phase number 5. But the action pops off over here on the eastern side of things, where it's going to be Team Almost. Yusugo rolling up now on top of Polar Ace. Lockenberry going to be immediately flushed down and out of the game as Infamous tries to take those peaks, able to put out at least 20, now more damage, significant damage on top of Yusugo, forcing him back down behind this deflate, trying to retreat as far as possible to get safety and get those meds off. He
realized how easy it was to flank, and it would be falling back closer to his team, closer behind his team. Only problem with that play is that look at this zone. They're not in it. They have about 10 seconds to make a play. It needs to happen now, and even if they flank left, their solos that way, there's no cover to the right. They're running out of options. They need to do something right now. Texas Queso, how are you going to react? He's going to react by taking a knee and taking some shots. We'll get turned on right away, but has the damage been done? Tanaka had very low HP from that result from that fight, but Polar Ace smoking the hell out of themselves as a result of the third party coming in from two different teams. They're disengaging from this and giving Team Almost a second shot at life here in the next zone.
Yeah, this is not going to be easy for any of these teams continuing on here. Phase number 6 pops, and it's going to be a little bit centered up now on phase number 5, but these teams on the edge have to continue on that path, whether it be east, north, south, or west. They've got to make their way in. Only a few teams are going to be safe, and up here towards the northwest, it's going to be Gladys Array taking casualty after casualty, but over here on the east, a nice pickup on top of that crate, going to be going the way of, I believe, CZ and Player One Esports as they continue on here. They want to keep that consistency high. They walked away with the first place finish on our game number 1 over on Erangel, but can they repeat it here? They were looking worse for wear in the early game of this game, Seal, but they have certainly turned things around.
And with 7 teams up Jesus in a half a second, as we do see free agents as well as Moonwolf go out there. They're on a bit of an awkward side of the zone, but they're one of the only teams with a good amount of players left up in this game, so they might be able to transition from that into a good position in the zone, but it's going to be a hell of a rotate, and it's going to require a fight regardless to make it happen. Now, Polar Ray is able to get the northeast side. They do see little Crumsies that are inside the zone. They're kind of eyeing them out. They've taken the second half of the zone that was being claimed by them beforehand, and the reason they abandoned it is because if you look closely, you can see that Infamous's shack, this area that he's in right now, is not quite in the play zone next. So they can hold this for about another minute, but then they're going to need to find something else to hold for now. They do have players that are in zone. They do have a position that is in, so I'm still liking it for now. But looking over here, almost claiming the east side, potentially looking for another engagement. Look at this, Player One Esports versus Bottle Riders. Another repeat of a fight happening in game 1. And it looks like with Apple getting the first knock into Herald, they're hungry for revenge, Esquire.
Him starting out as a 3v3, now knocked down to a 3v2 in favor of the Bottle Riders, and then quickly thereafter, shots coming out from Appeal and KOPM find the 2 remaining members of Player One Esports Latin America, and down go Yalal, down goes CZ, and down goes our first place team from game number 1 in 7th place.
Great stuff from Bottle Riders, but 7th place still pretty decent there. They will need to keep having some decent games. Player One Esports will if they want to maintain their presence on the leaderboard. Southwest side, however, look how clean that mini-map is. The entire south side claimed by the Bottle Riders. They are so happy to be in the position they're in. They look at this, they're so confident. They even sent Appeal out to go loot some much-needed supplies and resources. And I'm not sure they're even going to need them. They could probably win this game with minimal supplies, considering the other 3 or 4 teams that are left in this game. They're all scrunched up on the north side, and someone's got to give. Someone's going to need to take a shot if anyone wants to leave. And while that's going on, Bottle Riders can just sit pretty on the south side and stay in their compound.
Yeah, they're going to be loving this right now. It's not the best circle they could have gotten, but hell, they're still
Northeast
going to be
side,
in it. They don't have to make that rotation.
Team Almost, if you're talking to Squire, I can't hear you. Northeast side, I'm looking at Team Almost right now. Infamous getting this opening frag out onto Tanaka. Looks like we'll be Darth able to confirm that as well. So Team Almost in the rematch, unable to actually make anything happen.
Did I lose you?
It's only Mime left alive as Polar Ray is going to be treating back down the hill. They do get it down. Nubacabra trying to crawl in, trying to make his way into the zone. Darth Vapor holding strong here as the Polar Race does get the res off. That being said, as Mime getting the res off on Yosu as well, not much time to make something happen. 25 seconds left before the shrink. Just going to get a quick technical issue sorted out really quick, guys.
Chad, I have no idea if you can hear Seal. Seal? Waiting on an update from production, guys. All right, so I think maybe you guys can't hear Seal. So I'm going to go ahead and take this solo. Hopefully I'm not talking over him. But we still have 4 teams remaining. Polar Ace Esports going to be dropped down and out in 5th position as the Bottle Riders, Reno Lock and his teammates continue on here. 7 kills to their name. And they are not going to be done yet. One of the members of team... Is this team already? Team... Man, these new teams, I tell you what, boys. Team Almost, Mime still going to be holding out here a little bit off center to the east as a solo player snakes in the grass as action pops off here to the north. Little Cromsies, Panzerknacker are going to be spotting out two of the members of Galatasaray Esports, and they will be knocked down and out in 4th position here in game number 2 as Little Cromsies try to recover off of this, trying to get Dusty and Krusty back up. Because sure enough, he has one of the 3 kills for this squad as they continue on. But it looks like Mime has been spotted out. The Bottle Riders aggressing up on top of this rock where the solo player remaining for Team Almost is trying to hide, able to get a nice knock and a flush. But here comes the push from the other member, Reno Lock of the Bottle Riders. Follows it up and takes it down and out. Team Almost in 3rd place. We are now left with 2 teams remaining here in game number 2, just past that 32-minute mark. It's going to be 4 members of Lil Cromsies up here towards the north, trying to work their way down towards the Bottle Riders, finding a quick knock on Aquino Lock. Now a 1v4 situation as KOPM tries to do whatever he can to not go out in 2nd place. 8 kills to their name so far, and how beautiful a chicken dinner would be on top of that. But it's going to be an uphill battle, almost literally, from here on out for KOPM. As the rotation comes out, don't think any information was given out just yet to the KOPM from Reno Lock, but he will be popping inside of the building, trying to use some of this man-made cover to his advantage. As shots continue to come out, possibly some of the members of Little Cromsies trying to bait out the position of KOPM of the Bottle Riders, as sure enough, Firefighter does spot out Reno Lock down and out. They go, leaving just 1 more player left. No res will be available for KOPM. It's going to be a true 1v4 scenario as Panzerknacker and the rest of the Cromsies continue to look around these hillside areas, not wanting to spot out, or rather, not wanting to miss that snake in the grass potentially, or give away anything for free and tilt the scales in the favor of the solo player. But they definitely know it is a 4v1 by virtue of 5 players being left. And KOPM going to be spotting out Navoda. Navoda spots out KOPM, but the quick shots come out, and now a 3v1, but the position of KOPM completely given away, and here comes the pressure. Grenades going to be flying out of those windows of the 2nd story as well, trying to do whatever they can, but it's not going to be enough. And Panzerknacker finds the deadly shots on top of the Bottle Riders. Out they go in 2nd position, and over goes the chicken dinner, the way of Lil Cromsies. 5 kills here in game number 2. So an excellent game to have been played out right there as we approach the halfway point. Seal, what's going on?
All right, it looks like you stopped talking. I can't hear you, Esquire, so I'm just going to send it straight to the break. So we're going to be coming back for the second half of the series, the EU split. We will see you guys then, and hopefully I can hear things when that happens. Coming back to you guys soon. All right, we are back, and we can actually hear each other now. What a wonderful solution wired technology is. If this is your first time tuning in, I am Lil Fuzzy Seal, or Ben Harris, if you really want to call me that for some weird reason on the internet, joined by the real Esquire. How you doing, man?
Good. Good first half of Survival Sunday to kick off the day. Games 1 and 2 were pretty exciting. A lot of action, a lot of very aggressive plays coming out from our teams so far.
Yeah, especially ones that we wouldn't normally really expect. Like, there's been a lot of teams like vying for control in like phases 1 and 2. I specifically noticed Team Hades, that them going for that kind of play, or it just happening to them a lot. I think in game 1 it was the former, and game 2 is more of the latter, where they just got gate-kept by, I believe it was just Koski, ended up losing their remaining 2 players from that particular fight. I might be misremembering that, but they died pretty early after getting in, once again, some more early fights. And definitely a team that is a little bit less experienced as far as comp play goes. And they're probably a little bit more used to, like, all right, whatever, a fight is a fight. We'll just win it like we usually do in all of our pubs. But that does not fly in comp play. That does not fly at all. Unless you have the information, know you're not going to get third party, you have the information, know where everyone on that team is, it almost never works as well as you would hope. So we'll be seeing in the EU split if they will be renovating their strategy, if they'll be playing differently, or if they will continue to find themselves in these hot drop situations. That being said, Esquire, what are your thoughts on the game so far?
I've liked them. You know, it's some new teams, actually a lot of new teams, teams I'm not familiar with. But on the opposite side of that, a lot of familiar faces, a lot of names that we've seen throughout the competitive scene on new teams. So it's been interesting, I think, to say the least. Be it aggressive plays, or be it just new rosters, and seeing how those guys are meshing with one another. It's been good to see. But I mean, again, only 2 games having been played. The first 2 games of this new Survival Sunday season, the league. Have you? So I mean, it's just exciting. I think it's a great time. You could give me the most boring PUBG games of my life, Seal, and I would still find it interesting based off of the fact that we do have new teams, maybe trying to figure each other out. But they're doing just that. They are trying to figure each other out, but they are not playing passive whatsoever. They're really playing with confidence. I mean, they're saying, hey, if you guys didn't come here to play, if you guys are maybe going to sit back and give us, give us I'll put it into conversions. If you're going to give us what is it, a centimeter, we're going to take a meter, essentially. These teams are really playing aggressively, and I think they're maybe starting to see some strengths, some weaknesses in their opponents by now.
I'm definitely noticing that as well. One of the teams that hasn't been as much, however, is Moonwolf, who have been in the early to mid game, almost always losing 1 or 2 players off of almost always a third party, if I'm really remembering this properly. Specifically in game 1, we saw the 4 Horsemen kind of take the sail out of their wins relatively early in that game. And I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to put my cards on the table. I think that if Moonwolf make it to, let's call it phase 6. If Moonwolf make it to phase 6 as a 4-man, I think they just win the game.
Yeah, I mean, based off of history, if that tells us anything. I don't think, what is it, O'Connell, who's no longer on their team, who's on the Wizards now? Yeah, I don't think one personnel change is going to change the dynamic of the team entirely. They're still an incredibly strong squad. We've already seen, what is it, is his name KK or Oko? Akko. Yeah, I mean, we've already seen him perform pretty well on the day. But I mean, like you said, Seal, phase 6, they got all 4 up. They're looking like a pretty good team, like a pretty difficult team to beat. But on games 1 and 2 of the day, the only player they've had up on phase number 6, which they have had at least 1 player up, all right, each game, phase number 6. But both times, it's been the solo player washout in a snake position, looking worse for wear. I mean, game number 1 didn't have a helmet. Game number 2, he was right next to an entire squad rotating right next to him. Ultimately, he did get taken out. But just having a really tough time. I mean, if you're on Moonwolf right now, you got to be giving a huge shout out to Washout for at least keeping their placements high.
Yeah, we'll be seeing if they can maintain, because like they've gotten a couple of like middling placements, like you were mentioning. So a win will still put them pretty high up on the leaderboard, because I think there was Player One Esports that got first place in the previous game, ended up going out in 5th or 6th place, if I'm not mistaken, there to Bottle Riders in the rematch from Game 1. So they're definitely teetering a little bit on the leaderboards alongside teams like Team Almost, like Bottle Riders. We'll be getting leaderboards to you when they're ready, just having a couple of technical issues to get those out, but we'll be getting those out as soon as we can to you guys to let you know exactly where the points stand. But right now, in this caster's opinion, the teams to look at are currently Team Almost. That's going to be Mime, Evasion, and the rest of those boys. Player One Esports, Latam, they're the blue boys, the Team 13, the team with Yalal on it, if you're looking for sort of indicators beyond just us talking about it. As well as you can't really count them out. Lil Cromsy's the winners of Game 2. Those 3 teams are probably the ones I'd be looking at. Maybe in the 4th place with Bottle Riders. Those 4 teams are probably pretty up on the scoreboards right now.
Yeah, no, absolutely right. Lil Cromsy's, they had a good performance in game number 2, like you said, walking away with the chicken dinner. But the way they kept 4 players alive, they were just able to kind of swoop down from that northern position and choke out the competition. But you can't take anything away. Who was in 2nd place? Why am I blanking on
Bottle Riders.
Bottle Riders, okay. Up on the 2nd story, the solo player did pretty well. Did pretty well for themselves. Able to get a quick knock onto one of the players of that the Chromies,
Little Cromsies.
Onto that the Cromsies.
Lil
Able to get
Cromsies.
a quick knock onto them. So at least started out with the win conditions. Started checking off those boxes. It's a tough task though, going against 4 players as a solo. It's I don't know how many times have we seen it? Enough times to count on one hand.
I can't quite like put the reason why, but I feel some sort of kinship with Lil Cromsies. I don't know what it is, but like I feel like a connection to them, man.
Do you?
Yeah, it's the Lil in the name, I think. I think that's what it is.
I feel connected to this player right now in their.
We're nice and close.
In their bat skull.
This little cyborg
mask.
right here.
Yeah, lovely, lovely character model right there. The trigger is on the T-shirt.
How many of the new cosmetics have you been using? Because I am all about that fur coat.
I use. Let's see what I only use. I use 2 of the new cosmetics. I use the white bandana over my face.
Nice.
And then I use that parka jacket. Not like the super furry one, but like the more leather jacket with like the parka fur on the hoodie.
I think the white one.
No, it's a black one with
like
a brown. It's like one of the really late level unlocks.
Wait, what level are you right now?
100 and
what?
Something.
What?
113 maybe.
Ow!
I bought levels. I'm not ashamed to admit that I support PUBG, all right?
That's fair enough. I'm sitting here at level 20 being like grinding missions almost every day. And I was gonna say I don't know how you
don't get me wrong. I still grind the missions. I just really wanted the skins.
That's fair enough. That's more than fair enough. I'm doing the same thing with my Scar, my 249 skins. That being said, enough about skins. We are currently in Game 3 of the EU split. Playing path, we haven't talked about it at all. Southeast and Northwest, quite nice. The only real story here is that Georgia Pool is not going to be in play easily. 3 teams as well going for Yasnaya. And outside that, mostly just more of the same rule. Dropping Milta, a couple teams dropping Pachinki. That's going to be Bottle Riders, who almost always try to go for center zone, but also a couple teams awkwardly dropping near the farm area. I see Rocket Esports as well as Team Hades once again in a very, very awkward situation, as well as Washout, who once again has to fight a little bit for his combo. There's 2 players in this combo right now, actually, if we're going to go over this. Washout with the Uzi right away. I don't know his armor situation is, at least as a helmet right now, as we can see, but that's it. He's got, is that a crossbow Uzi and a helmet and a 3v1 scenario? Goodness, Moonwolf can just not catch a break today.
Yeah, tough goes right here for Moonwolf. Washout, though, in a pretty good position to take on Yalal and CZ. They were able to get these 2 prio buildings, so they could possibly have a little bit more loot than Washout. If they have armor, it's going to be a little bit devastating for him, but he's got the micro Uzi prepped and ready to shred through any of these players of Player One Esports Latin America. But here come the grenades. CZ going to be throwing them up, able to find a nice nade onto maybe the 3rd floor. That might have been right above him. I don't know, but they're going to be pushing in right now. Yalal leading the charge.
Here we go.
Bin up the stairs they go, and Washout trying to spray him down. Not going to be any match for the exact same gun on top of Yalal. The micro Uzi going to be coming out clutch here, able to find the first knock and the first blood here of game number 3.
Little bit too late for the peek throw and watch it. I saw what he was going for. He was going to try and peek out on the right as Yalal was coming down the staircase, but he didn't get peeker's advantage. He actually gave it to Yalal by allowing him to sprint down the corridor so fast. I think that watch was predicting a pie around, a slow peek rather than just him charging in with Uzi in one of his hands, just gunning him down, holding it to the side. But it will be Moonwolf losing with their players, and they've been slowly losing grasp of their normal drops. They lost 2 players in Los Leones. They lost the 4th player in their Milta split away from Player One Esports, which is currently, I believe, one of the top placing teams right now. Moonwolf's shaken, man.
Yeah, you know, it's not even something that you can blame on a new roster. They're just, I don't know, they're playing a little bit weird right there. At least in this game alone, they spread out a little bit too much, knowing full well that there is a team going into that Milta power and a little bit further west of that area. You got to be clustered. You have all of Milta to yourself. There's no reason to send Wash out all the way up there towards the northeast where he was.
No reason besides that's what they do every game. So it's mostly a force of habit, more so than something that is like objectively the correct thing to do. Looking around elsewhere, however, as it does appear that the zone is going to be going to the far, far north side. A couple of teams feeling pretty good about that. Modsy Esports, which almost always seem to find somewhere in the zone. That's going to be the team in orange that is currently looting Severny. And elsewhere around them as well. This is the team that is so teal, I literally can't read the name. I think that's
Team Almost.
I think that's Team Almost. Okay, you're right. I thought that's Team. I thought you said Almost, as in like you can almost read it. But okay, that's just Team Almost.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I should have.
How do you feel about this loot spot? Because I feel like when teams go Sev, they normally get Sev and shooting range, but now like we have one team in Sev which isn't quite enough loot, and then Team Almost, which is like a 2-2 shooting range and Severny outskirts split, and specifically where Evasion is looting, this area is known for just how barren and desolate it is. I don't like this split for loot that much.
No, and honestly, I don't think they do either. Based off of where I saw the drops, I think that their original intention was to go to Severny, but there was already a team there, Modsy Esports. I guess they had the more dominant drop. They were able to perfect that new parachuting. Yeah, I don't know what happened, but something happened along the way, and that sent Team Almost off of their initial drop location where they wanted to go, and sort of into a literal trash loot. I mean, sometimes we talk about trash loot when you have like some pretty dominant compounds that just aren't cities, but no, this is going to be pretty much actual trash loot for these 4 players. Like you said, shooting range. That's definitely not a spot that you want to send even 2 players is sort of maxing out shooting range. They're not going to be able to walk away most likely with what they want.
They're literally rummaging through trash cans for loot right now, just like saying like, oh, like an old hot dog bun, I'll put that in my level like 0.5 backpack and see if that'll get something done later in the game. Maybe I can throw it at someone and make them mad. Look at over here though, Mime might be able to get some loot if Livid doesn't drive around here properly. They're getting pretty close. He does have a UMP, which is not exactly the best way to use shoot cars, but driving really close by, landing a couple of UMP shots, but that gun's low velocity, not doing him any favors. Livid getting by on the skin of their teeth, rotating away from them into what will probably end up later to be a pretty centralized compound. He gets a lot of damage on both of those players. I think that both were sent to below half HP, but still, Team Almost not able to walk away from a kill with that.
Yeah, some good pressure being applied. And I was going to say, you know, at the very least, he picked up the information to relay to his other teammates over towards that western direction that there is a team making a rotation up on that almost identical path. But in also doing so, they sort of gave away the crossroads. One could say pretty much the dominant position here outside of Severny. It's going to be going right over to Livid uncontested because, hey, the members of that squad Team Almost, they're not looted up. They are not comfortable with what they've been able to pick up by virtue of where they landed. They're not able to say, okay, we're good to go. Let's go ahead and move to our at least our hold position.
I'm pretty sure that the strat from Almost is just camp shooting range. We saw Yuso prone here. Tanaka is still trying to get whatever he can. Look, he found a rifle, as a shooting range is almost always known for. Evasion off on the north side looking for anything, any vehicles, anything at all to give him an edge. But right now, the only thing that Team Almost has going for them is that they're kind of close to center in phase 1. Maybe they can camp for a while. Shooting range will probably be in if the zone does go north. It might not. The zone might hard shift south because it loves these rivers, it loves these roads. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what is going to be going on. But right now, Almost does not have much going for them.
Yeah, as a spectator, we love those circles that implicate either the channel as a 50-50 or this river leading out of Yasnaya. I mean, the players hate it, but the viewers, we as PUBG spectators, we'd love to see these players kind of thrown into very uncomfortable situations. You know, it's always it's like those Fear Factor shows.
Oh God!
Still, when you see people doing stuff that you would never do because you never want to be in that position, but it's so fun to watch.
Yeah, this just in, every PUBG viewer is now a sadist for these teams. Yes, make the hard rotate. Every zone a military zone. Zarky Lighthouse ending, let's go. Yeah, actually, that would be awesome anyway. I think it's just a cool place to be. Oh, looking at this, Spen getting, I believe that's one of his first downs of the night here onto XH, the resident cyborg. He will be first blood today. No, he's second blood.
Yeah, I was going to say, we hadn't seen much out of Kanye 2020 in games number 1 and games number 2, but showing up, at least here in game number 3, picking up a nice early kill.
Right place, right time. 80s taking some shots onto the 4 horsemen as they make their own rotate, but no knocks as they are quite far away. Looks like that the west side coming out from farm trash loot worked out reasonably well. A couple of players in Fairy Pier, as it looks like the 4 horsemen were going for a similar strategy, but now looking at center zone, bunch of teams try to crash middle and trying to find some good compounds. Morrow and the rest of the free agents coming in a little bit late, scouting out center compound, which is currently empty. We see Polar Race approaching it from the east on foot, but it will be easy for Mar to snag this up, and shots coming out from the outside pretty much tells Polar Race that, okay, they're on the outside, no one's inside, so let's just kill my teammate. Look at the kill feed as Ryzen takes down Morrow from the vehicle accident.
Man, if Polar Ace had any indication as to what team that was crashing in there, they should be pushing off of this almost immediately. But their window of opportunity has now closed as the other members of this squad, I believe this is the free agents, are able to at least roll into this compound. Yeah, a spectator glitch, but Moonwolf is not going to be in this area. All 4 members of the free agents have now occupied this compound, so just a few seconds short of that, Polar Ace would be in the position of the free agents inside of this beautiful garage building, a Prio building, a pretty dominant spot to be in, at least the high ground.
It's real hard to push. I'll give him that. Polar Ace, they could have made a push. They could have made something happen, but at the same time, they have their own compound. They have their own spot over here in the zone, and they can have other people to shoot. Specifically, Gangrene, who's coming in on this rotate around the south side, very, very dangerous. He's actually rotating here toward Polar Ace's compound and toward his certain doom. Gangrene getting shot out of his car. Spen leading some back, but oh, look at this. Lazy J actually getting a knock onto Nuva Copper and a flush. And actually, oh my god, Loganberry, wait, might have shot a player. Wait, no, they just jumped out and didn't die. Wow.
Huh. Well, sometimes you get lucky.
And then Spen on the kill feed, we see him going toward the Wizards, will later be dying, so maybe the fat finger of the F button helping them out a little bit. But while this is going on in Polar Race, I got a key in on this. Loganberry died during that. After half his team pulled back to the compound, he stayed there and then easily got knocked and flushed, so definitely a mistake. Definitely did not need to beat that compound when you had your own. When 2 of your teammates already pulled back, they're not going to be leaving anytime soon. They have their own centered compound. There is no need to peek this team. Loganberry pretty much dying for free there.
Yeah, dying for free, but looking at the map, we are seeing a majority of our teams here in the lobby, 16, all 16 still remaining, favoring the northern side of the river, as phase number 1 is at least almost done. Closing out here, and we'll start to at least get a better indication whether or not these bets will be paying off, as a crate going to be dropping just north of the members of Polar Ace, Loganberry, Darth Vapor, and and his teammates still holding down there.
I like that name.
The teams though moving in on that area. And no surprise here, Seal. All right, the crossroads have been taken up, and now the yellow building just to the south of the crossroads. I don't know if you would call it necessarily a counter position. It's almost there. It's definitely a very strong position to be aware of if you're in crossroads and vice versa. But the Wizards going to be holding down just south of Livid. Already seeing some pressure shots being applied. But the aim here, hold on to that yellow shack and then put, at least a dominant force on this bit of defilade, this bit of a I guess, inlet on the hillside to hold that.
That little crest right there, definitely a good spot. However, the zone did pop. I haven't seen it quite yet. We'll be seeing if this is a good spot. It did hard shift north, so that area, that situation you were talking about previously, with that channel being in play, will not be happening in this game. Now, though, Marlong rotating past Copham and the rest of Bottle Riders will not get quite punished yet. He'll be able to rotate right around that and going still closer toward the shooting range, leading his team there. We do see on the minimap Garcia from this team not following the same rotation, actually doing some bumper cars there on the side, and the rest of the free agents trying to take shots at this, but will not be able to prevent any of this. However, the same cannot be said for Garcia, who, driving his buggy, comes across the entirety of Bottle Riders, is in the open, and this is going to be a pretty quick death for Garcia here.
Yeah, and there's that back tire, able to see it, and that is the culprit that spun that buggy out and ultimately led to the death of one of the members of Raccoon 5, dropped down and out with the scar of Reno Lock of the Bottle Riders, picking up their first kill of the game. But the little Cromsies, winners of game number 2, going to be looking on at all this chaos. Texas Queso, Refray pushing up onto the compound where Polar Ace has been holding, so a lot of information to be gained from this area, but also very risky with how many teams are around. Firefighter from the Cromsies is going to be spotting out Texas Queso, forcing him to retreat back to cover, back behind this tree. Smoke's coming out as well, trying to provide these teammates at least some concealment to work off of. Still, we see just how congested phase number 2 has already become.
Oh, the greed, I love it. This is great.
I love it too.
What's he got? He's got Nom. Okay, so he's leaving his mini behind. Sometimes you want to bring that mini with you, so I understand the apprehension for not wanting to drop it, but the Om is a great gun. And look at this. Queso is even able to retreat away from Polar Ace, away from Little Cromsies, and now they're able to get to the top of this hill, and this isn't a great spot, but the main benefit is that if they decide to sit here, then it's just one of those spots where it's like, why are you here? This is such a weird place for you to be. So if they play prone, if they find a nice little spot to settle down, and they could find themselves in a good spot. I don't think I like them playing out here, but playing out will allow them to potentially spot Mod Z, retreating from this great for free, spotting out Palataruk. Doesn't see Smash Bay quite yet, but might be able to spot this level 3 armor soon. Sees him in a pretty easy shot, but decides not to take it. If you're Refray, you're probably just going to let him be. I feel like you're going to miss your opportunity here to take shots. So as they say that, they're going for the car. Sees him get in, but he is spotted out from behind this tree, immediately begin to engage on him. His teammate on the south side of this hill not nearby, and now Refray trying to back off, but the Om shot hits him in the dead of the chest, and now he's going to need to pull back. Hopefully Queso can help him out of the situation, but as I say that, Mod Z Esports sending in reinforcements from the north.
Yeah, this is going to be a little bit problematic for the members of Kanye 2020. If Mod Z doesn't end up taking them out, then they are certainly going to be facing off against some resistance from other teams in the area, attracted to all of this noise. Nice grenade coming out and narrowly missing. Rita Low rolling in on the bike. That would have been a painful thing to roll in on, just up on top of a grenade thrown from up the hill from these two members. Texas Queso and Refray trying to hold down whatever they can on this hill. I guess by virtue of their position being uphill, none of the members of Mod Z want to peek their heads over this bit of defilade and give away a free headshot.
Yeah, but so look at this minimap. Look what Infamous is doing. He's playing at the compound. He's saying, I hear shots. I want to shoot him back. I want to go. We can see this sort of like that sub mentality coming in. He's just like, I want to make plays. I want to do something. But his teammates will be calling him back. They don't want to take any risks going into the mid game as a 3-man. And with the zone popping soon, if they take a fight now, then they're not going to be able to react to the next one. So calling Infamous back as Kanye 2020 does disengage, they lose their opportunity to third party from this fight. But it probably works for the best as the next one popping very, very soon. However, unfortunate time for Yalal to get knocked here as Galactic Spray Esports takes him down to the gas station. Should be an easy res for them, but once again, if they're planning on leaving, they're not going to be quite ready by the time Yalal gets resed and healed.
Yeah, exactly right. I mean, and with that gas station, that Player One Esports is currently playing off of, generally your cars are going to be on that southern side of the wall, so pulling out of that compound is not going to be easy. But you're already going to be departing based off of this next shift, heading over just south of Severny, the crossroads, almost dead center, Livid. Paying off in that early rotation, securing that compound, all 4 of their members holding down to the west and eastern sides of the road, ready to crossfire down on any enemy threat that will be working their way up from the south. But it's going to be black spotted out by the 2 members of Kanye 2020, Texas Queso and Refray, trying to spray down some of the tires of this free agent squad, but they are able to narrowly escape the lines of sight of these two members remaining.
Oh man, they're just two little goldfish in a giant ocean of sharks. The thing is, though, is that these sharks do not have guns. Well, these goldfish are armed to the teeth. This analogy is falling apart. Cars flipping all around. Kabam and Buyakai driving around. Kessler almost gets hit. They haven't been able to take these players out, but it's all that they can to just survive and not get hit by these vehicles. They've been doing what they can, but now Bottle Riders driving by in a couple of buggies. Queso and Refray doing what they can, almost taking one of these players out, but when that one player, Apple, leaves, another comes in. Rimlock, who is once again driving past these players. Kane 2020 can just not find a knock, and look, while this is going on, it is Mod Z actually who's able to get a lot of these kills onto the 4 horsemen who dismounted on their old spot. The Mod Z getting a lot of kills from that scenario, as well as look in the kill feed. Kanye 2020 finally getting down. Infamous got what he wanted. He pushed him from behind and now claiming the south side. Meanwhile, Moonwolf as well, claiming Sev pretty early, getting a couple of kills to their name for that play.
I mean, this is insane, Seal. This circle shift, phase number 3, it went from a great migration of cars into a great cluster of deaths as Raccoon 5 Esports is platinum, going to be dropped down immediately from the AKM shots. A Slippy Zerg able to find the flush headshot as well. One player down for Raccoon 5, facing off against the push coming out from this squad, the Avengers. Now the rest of the teams will be trying to at least find some bit of safety to hide behind. Lazy J and his teammates, the free agents, making that far northern wrap. The northern part of Severity actually going to be clear. Moonwolf only has a grasp on that southern tip. And that's going to be Ryozin scouting that out early on, calling in his teammates as the remaining member of Raccoon 5 Esports. Alejo starts to push into the yellow building.
You heard him.
Opts not to open the door to his death and pulls back, spots out Tanaka, tries to spray him down. The damage being applied and the ultimate knock will be had as Alejo now has to square off against the other members of Team Almost. 2 to be exact, a 1v2 situation, but more damage being applied. Actually make that a 1v3. Mayim off of that far eastern flank ends up spotting out the solo aggressor, forcing them back behind cover in the shooting range.
Surprised to see Alejo not go for the flush there. Might have been doable, but Tanaka blessing his lucky stars, now getting res as evasion plays out, trying to help him not get flushed here. Mime as well covering from his east side, but has his own things to worry about as he does need to keep Mod Z Esports to his east in check, which is what he is currently worrying about at the moment. Tanaka using bandages to heal up. He's not worried about a push in the slightest right now. And Alejo saying, all right, I've lost my opportunity. I'm in shooting range. There's a squad here. What in the world do I do now?
Yeah, I mean, pretty much that's his thought process. You know, as a solo player stuck in the firing range, maybe it's best to just hold out and sit there until you're forced out by the circle, which could be very, very soon as we see that shrink now happening rather off of that western edge a little bit faster. Everyone able to at least secure a position inside of the circle. Whether or not it is safe, though, as has yet to be seen. Shots going to be coming out from the south on top of Player One Esports Latin America. It's easy, taking some fire, a little bit spread off to the south of his teammates Yalal and Harold. But the next circle will be popping, taking us up here towards the north off of our previous circle centrality. And a few teams pretty happy still. Livid, going to be happy still. Moonwolf, going to be sitting pretty in Severny. But a few other teams need to at least fight for a new position.
Yeah, there is not much here. I'm looking at this zone. Like, the west side's pretty barren besides a couple of sheds. The east side is the side of a hill. Outside these compounds, there really isn't much to work with. Moonwolf, however, not going to be able to prevent Team Hades from making a fat rotate inside Severny, claiming that cornerstone building on the southwest side. Hard to push, but hard to leave as well. But Moonwolf, unable to stop it from happening, will allow Hades to sort of buy their time, buy some info. North side team for agents moving in as well, but looking over here, Wizards crashing onto Rezu as he gets fragged with the 4 horsemen. Rezu holding his ground, doesn't take shots until they dismount, and it will be an easy turnaround for Dicer, who takes down Rezu, bringing them down to 2 players, and Koski saying, all right, you guys can have that. There's all 4 players up, but Edokaz, oh no, trying to take down O'Connell. A great frag right over that lip, will be tossed, and actually does down Karis. A bit of a better cook on that, might have gotten him some more damage. But we'll be pulling back, saying that a 1 down is good enough. Give Wizards the dip. But look at that. That play from Wizards, pretty big. This could be a game-winning position, similar to what we saw Player One Esports hold in Game 1.
Yeah, surprising to just see one member of Moonwolf in that little bit of a dip that the Wizards have now taken over. The Wizards' position, like you said, one of the stronger spots to hold down if you don't want to opt into going into the actual city of Severity, but it's really playing against them now. Shots coming in from all over the place as more teams are trying to posture inside of Severity proper. Galatasaray Esports taking casualties left and right as Not a Furia is trying to do whatever they can to rotate out of this, possibly the only member remaining of that squad, which was, I believe, a 3-man rolling into Severity and losing 2 very quickly to the members of Team Almost, and I believe Proximus Blackfin and the rest of their teammates. A tough go.
Big
tough
fight
go
going on in Southeast. Teams. Look at that kill feed as the Alal and the rest of PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports just popping off on the edges of the zone. Raccoon we see getting taken down here as well. And before we can actually look at it, Polar Race just gone in a flash, blink and you miss it. It will be PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports cleaning up the Southeast side once again, making it past the mid game. That being said, still 13 teams alive, but even if they get down here soon, which they might considering how garbage their side of the zone is, they will be okay on kills. So we'll see how long they can last, being in one of the less great spots. That being said, we're talking about bad spots. I think that Sev might be one of the most awkward ones in the entire game. Look at just the cacophony of color here in this city right now. I see like 4 or 5 teams in the city, and Wizards here to gatekeep it all. This is gonna be a hard push, no matter who you are.
Yeah, 5 teams in Severity, 1 team, the Wizards, just outside, ready to gatekeep any of these teams, trying to leave Severity proper. And this is kind of one of the things about these cities, about compounds in general. They're great early game, but they turn into almost your death sentence towards the late game, trying to rotate out of Severity for any of those teams, be it Moonwolf or any of the teams further north, deeper into Severity. It's not going to be easy. Anyway you try to work around it, you're going to be facing off against maybe a team close range. If not close range, then the teams further down south, because it's wide open all the way over to those hills just to the south. It's going to be tough to maneuver this terrain seal unless you've got some smoke utility or maybe even some cars to utilize.
Oh, that's good for the Wizards, man. That's real good for Wizards, and it's pretty good for Livid, too. Because look at this. If any team shows up from the east side, then Livid has great sight lines without even having to leave. This is really bad for PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports. This is really bad for Slippy Zerg. And that's really bad on the northeast for the Bottle Riders, as they're going to be forced to come in from the zone edge. Look at this. PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports trying to shoot their way to the zone, but it's not going to be easy. The only real boon this team has is having 4 players up. But right now, I'm looking at that, that red dot mini. I'm looking at how split they are, running low on meds, all of them. At least Sizzy has a 6x mini, as he's proven to be the great marksman on their team, but they're working with very little, tactically speaking right now, positionally speaking right now.
Yeah, and I mean, they're getting shot from, at least one of the, I guess, very few main locations down here on the southern side of this circle. It's the Warehouse Hill that they're being shot. Geeker and Slippy Zerg putting out that pressure, but this sends PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports thinking that they want to make that rotation around that southwestern corner, come up through that southern edge where Crossroads is. They're smart enough players, though, to recognize the fact that this late into the game, given this circle, Crossroads is going to have a dominant squad inside of it, and certainly Livid is prepped and ready to take out this.
Look at this, though. Big push coming out from Lil Crom. He's coming onto Wizards position. They have great frags, and this is the main problem with this spot, is that frags are super effective on that little dip. One landing pretty close to the Wizards from Dusty and Crest, but I think it hit some of the trees. Oh, but the second one will get some damage out there. These guys have been taking so much pressure. Look, these cars, they're all exploded. They've been taking so much damage that they don't even exist anymore. They're just like burnt husks what they used to be. But look at this, the second frag from Panzer Knacker, taking down both of the Wizards. They did not prevent this team from getting close enough in time, and now O'Connell literally laying on his old teammate's body, on Rezu's body, is trying to hold out as long as he can. Look at the bullets, look at the tracers. He will get the trade on one of them with his AK, running for the smoke now as he goes for the flush, but oh my god, the smoke dissipates just as he needed it, and he will be dying soon after. Wizards going out in 11th place as Lil Cromsies now wrest control. They're a pretty good spot in the zone, but Bottle Rider's looking at that right now. But look at this, Mod Z just crashing into Livid. What happened here? How did they do this?
Yeah, they full sent it. I mean, exactly what they needed to do. Rita was holding on to that shack. Other 3 teammates from Mod Z followed up, and they were able to execute a beautiful crash right here, taking control of the western side of the Crossroads, leaving just taking lead for Team Livid on the east. And how quickly things can change still. I mean, that's the PUBG.
And look at PLAYERUNKNOWN'S esports on the far east side. They were able to make their way into the white zone as well. This is insane. A ton of really big upsets happening here right now in this current game. But Mods esports, they're going to be okay for now. There's a split right now across the road, so they're still going to be in trouble. Like, you know, something's got to give. But going into a 4v2 situation is very fine. New phase, however, is going to be popping soon. Let's look at elsewhere in the zone, as there's a lot of stuff popping up on a lot of different areas in the map. They will be forced to leave this crossroad. If you want to look at where this is going to be in, so Little Cromsy is still having this ridge. This definitely it's still in. Moonwolf as well, with their 2 players up, still in the tip of Severny, which is barely in. They'll soon be pushed by free agents, and now on the far east, probably going to be seeing Bottle Riders versus PLAYER1 esports, as they're going to be forced to rotate in as well. A lot of fights beginning to bubble and boil. It's only soon before it's going to boil over as we get to the end of Phase 6.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. If you are PLAYER1 esports, you're kind of liking this right now. I mean, granted, they don't have the view of the map, but a lot of action will be popping off up here towards the north as Reno Lock and KOPM of the Bottle Riders try to make their own way in. But then the shots come out inside of that compound of the Crossroads. Lipson and Mod Z take out those remaining members of Team Livid. Now a very dominant hold on the southern side of the circle. They just have to walk their way in and hopefully find a little bit of cover, because there will be no compounds on that southern edge. Their crossroads will be pushed out. Okay, so PLAYER1 esports need to make a decision here. Do they go north or south? Because if they go straight west, they're going to take a fight against both teams. The zone's pushing in. They're just going to be walking it in. This might be a very destructive play, as PLAYERUNK lands a headshot onto Sizzy, the team marksman, just as the zone begins moving. They don't have time for this. They need to end up going, and as they get knocked from the north, they're actually going to push south. This is exactly what I was saying. They need to make a decision earlier. Is now look at this, the smokes aren't even out as they're forced to make their way into the zone. That being said, Modzy, it still will be enough for them to not push out at all, but Modzy just getting their cars, they have a new area in mind for they're going to be going, and that might give PLAYER1 esports the opening they need to find something in zone. A couple of these trees are going to be form some cover, but Modzy, they already have a ridge, they already have the car for it, and on the northeast side, another big fight breaking out as Bottle Riders pushing in to Lil Cromsies. Fights breaking down all over the place down there to the south. That is it's going to be a little bit of commotion. PLAYER1 esports trying to fight off against this, but also the Bottle Riders now stuck inside of the shack. KOPM trying to hold off against this onslaught coming out of the Cromsies. Mod Z going to be eliminating a team right there, putting out even more pressure. A nice grenade coming out from Smash Bay on top of Harold. We'll be dropping them behind the crate. Sometimes crates can give you loot, sometimes they can give you cover, but most of the time they do give you death, as Yalal going to be taking some blue zone damage. The only remaining player left on their feet for PLAYER1 esports, not able to evade that blue zone tick, and out goes PLAYER1 esports Latin America in 6th position. Another consistent finish for them, but will it be enough to get them into the money, get them into those top placements for those final slots, you know?
Yeah, it's 6th place is pretty good, all considered. Definitely some consistent points coming out, but look at this new zone. Is this going to be Mods esports game? The ridge on the north side is barely in. I'm not sure how much Lil Cromsy has to work with, but I know for a fact that both Moonwolf and Free Agent have chump change. They got nothing, nada, zilch. They're in so much trouble. As if there already wasn't a team sharing what little is left of the city. There's a team gatekeeping them, as well as a full 4-man already in zone that barely has to move, that already has hard cover. The only thing that goes wrong is these two guys somehow die, but that'll take a pretty big error, and look at that, they dismount. They have hard cover all over the place. Mod Z esports with 11 kills is in control of this game.
Yeah, they've been swooping around the southern side of the circle. They went from west down to southwest, around now to the east, and they are mopping teams up as they go. PLAYERUNK able to find the connections now onto the Cromsies. One knock already, leading off this engagement as now Polar going to be following up now with their teammates. Smash Bay's M24 going to be prepped and ready to spray down a 7.62 shot onto one of the members of Cromsies inside of the shack, but they need to be careful. They spotted out the other threat. KOPM, though, able to get some nice knocks. One knock and a flush going to be coming out for the remaining member of the Bottle Riders as they exit their shack, trying to push on. One connection, two connection, dropping them down to about 60 HP as Smash Bay continues to spray through that smoke.
Meanwhile, inside Severny, it will be the Free Agents going down to Moonwolf. They have an opening here while these other players are fighting. Looking over here, Dusty and Krusty still trying to find Coplin. There's two teams on him, and eventually it'll be Smash Bay from Mod Z getting their 12th kill of the game. They still have a great spot inside zone. They're trying to now take these guys out. Smashbay and Rita will take one out from this team, Lil Crumbs. There's still 2 up, but while it's been going on, Dusty and Krusty taking out Akko as well. They're just trying to do everything at once, and quite frankly, they are succeeding. Still, however, a 3v2 coming out in favor of Mods Esports. Also, Northwest side, Moonwolf Edukaz still sneaking in, still trying to find some way to survive the stronghold, the onslaught coming through these 2 teams. The frag, oh my god, coming out right next to Panzer, somehow doesn't go down. He is standing in the blast radius, but still gonna be barely alive. Mule and Devota going down, Panzer and Dusty going for the heals, and Modzy just waiting for the peak, waiting for the inevitable. The question is this Ridge still in? Is this definitely still playable? I think with the zone it barely is, and that does give them a chance.
Yeah, a chance indeed. Navoda with a very serious misplay right there. Had been knocked, was rezzed, ended up taking 1 tick to the blue zone, and down they went. Once again, it was a 3v3v1 situation. Now a 2v3v1 in favor of Modsy Esports, just down to the south of the Cromzy's current position. But the nades continue to fly over, and with that pressure is also going to be followed up by a slow but tactical push coming out from Rita, Smash, and Lipson as they continue over here. Even more nades going to be flying, trying to find those connections, and damage is being applied. Pressure is being applied. Modsy Esports wants to walk away with the chicken dinner here in game number 3. Smash Bay, M24 on the edge. Edukaz takes them down and out. Moonwolf in 3rd position. Now 2 teams remaining. A 2v3 situation. 13 kills in favor of Modsy Esports.
My was 15 as Lipson gets the opening knock. The trade coming in, but a 2v1 situation after the trade is exactly what Modsy is looking for. Smash Bay seeing him go for the peak, and now in a 1v1, it's Rita versus Dusty and Krusty. Rita gets the flank and gets the game-winning kill for Modsy Esports, winning with an astounding 15-kill game. And we haven't seen much from these guys in the previous games, but they sure as hell showed up here in Game 3. EU split starting up, showing their EU pride today, Esquire.
Yeah, you gotta love to see performances like that. Smash Bay, 8 kills, absolutely insane. Whatever they drank, whatever they ate during halftime, it's working off. I don't know if it's orange slices or Gatorade, but whatever it is, it's certainly paying off, and they're going to be having a huge performance there. And correct me if I'm wrong, or don't correct me, but I think Modsy has had a pretty good night so far, or afternoon, at least consistent. This is obviously their best performance, the best performance of any team so far here in week number 1 of the FirstBlood Survival Sunday League. But what a way to just say to the lobby, we're Modsy Esports, we're a dominant team, and don't come near us on air angle. We don't care if you're livid and you have an amazing position on crossroads. We're going to crash you. And then we're going to continue to sweep around. We're going to take out Player One Esports. We're going to take out the Cromzies. We're going to take out Moonwolf. We're going to take out everyone in our path.
Yeah, man, and they were actually playing differently this game as well, because we're looking at games 1 and 2, and they were just kind of like center, passive, and then probably go out sometime in like the mid to late game transition with probably like a top 10. I don't quite remember how exactly that went down, but that game they were just like, all right, well, we're out of options. We have like a shed that's barely not in the zone. Let's just send it, dude. Let's just send it to the crossroads, win the 4v2 in one of the hardest to push buildings in the game, and then somehow off screen we're able to cross the road again and then take out the other half of Livid, and that gave them entry into the entire side of the zone. That being said, there was an important thing that happened there. I think that it was the indecision and passivity from Player One Esport. If they push down the hill, deciding to either go south or north, Player One Esport does, then it is very easy to punish the way that Mods Esport played that. If they are pushing down the hill as Modsy is using their cars to move around, but because they're saying, all right, just play back, we have some hardcover here, our cars are decimated, we cannot actually drive anywhere, which that would have been great for them, but they couldn't do that, they were exploded already. But because they didn't make a decision, they allowed Modsy Esport to have control of the entire zone and ended up getting decimated pretty soon after that themselves. Like we saw actually 2 players ground to the south, but by then Modsy has already been set up. They sent one guy to the north, one other guy died to the zone, and the last guy just got picked apart from the 4 teams that were on the north side. So just like a lack of information, a lack of decision making there from Player One Esports. Still got them in 6th place, so they're still feeling pretty good, but I feel like it could have been something a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I think it could have been as well. I think the point in time where I sort of knew that Player One Esports was definitely not going to be in a position to take away a chicken dinner was when we had Modsy It had already crashed down onto the crossroads. They took the west side from Livid, and there were 2 players of Livid left on the east side of crossroads. Given that, okay, we had those 2 teams down in the south. Up towards the north, like you mentioned, we had a cluster of multiple teams trying to maneuver Severny. And then Player One Esports was just kind of all alone.
Everyone's so busy.
Side. Exactly. They needed to use that window of opportunity when they heard the shots down south, the remaining members of Livid being taken down by Mod Z. That was their very small, and of course, hindsight is 2020. You know, being in game in that situation is a hell of a lot different than watching it, right? Yeah, exactly. But that was essentially the window that they had to work with, was using that opportunity, that bit of I guess distraction down south, Mod Z clearing out the rest of Livid to make their move, whether it was to move south, whether it was to move north. They couldn't stay over on the east, and that ultimately led to their downfall there.
That being said, I think that it's a pretty clear error for them. So they're looking at that and saying, okay, we know exactly what went wrong. So hopefully this makes them better, because seeing them come in from a win with a very, very smart play, they know what they have to do. They know when to be aggressive. They know how to play end games. They just got to be more confident and make these decisions sooner and faster, and sort of realize the importance of information here. Besides that, their shots are on point. They're a very, very good team mechanically. They're smart enough where if they get to the end game that they can make really good plays. And honestly, if they keep playing like this, and we're probably going to be seeing them in the finale on week 8.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. That type of performance usually leads to final placements. So we'll see. But it is only one game. The first week, it's good to see that. But as we all know, sometimes you're just on in PUBG. It's that consistency we'll be looking for.
Yeah. Well, by the way, we'll be having scoreboards ready for you guys as soon as we can. I think that we'll be having them before Game 4. I'll be having production notify me if we'll be having those or not. Either way, we'll be having one more game, and we'll be able to tell for sure who exactly is going to be on top of those leaderboards. We could make assumptions, but we're going to be getting them here soon anyway, so I'm just going to not bother. That being said, so we've actually had some pretty disgusting zones, I got to say, today. Games 1 and 2 were just, oh my God, southeast side, so much water in play, hugging the coastline in areas that where teams aren't really that used to playing that often, in my opinion. Military base, a little bit more common, especially the east side. It's a little bit more, black and white as to what you are and aren't allowed to do on military base. But especially in that Miramar area, there's ridges everywhere. There's cover everywhere. And a lot of people are just I personally, I've never been to those compounds in an endgame scenario before. Almost never. So I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of those teams that are in that area also had similar lack of experience playing that area. A couple of teams played it really well. We obviously had the little Cromsies who were going for a split for a long time, but forming up at a very, very intelligent time. Team Almost and Polar Race also danced very, very smart around each other, but eventually were forced to take a fight as well. Bottle Raiders playing very intelligently as well in that endgame scenario. So there's a lot of teams that are proficient in those awkward, unpracticed situations. But we'll be seeing the teams that are maybe a little bit maybe less experienced, but we'll be seeing the importance of experience as it compares to the ability to be reactive and adaptive going into the last game for Miramar, because I feel like that's so important when it comes to Miramar, is just the ability to adapt to, quite frankly, bullcrap situations.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. I feel like on Erangel, you have very well-known areas, because there's not so many unique features to Erangel. Once you play a lot on Erangel, you sort of tend to know every area. Not so much as a Counter-Strike game where you're hard peeking different corners based off timings, things like that. But more so than Miramar. Miramar is a very unique map. It has a plethora of unique features. I mean, more so than any other map that we've seen. Maybe Vikendi actually starts to cross over into that, where every area of the map, every small area of the map is so different from every other area of the map. So yeah, I mean, like you said, it comes down on Miramar. Unless you're just an incredibly practiced team on Miramar, you know it better than Erangel. It comes down to how well can you utilize your team synergy if you got teammates still alive, to sort of bounce off of that, because everything's going to be changing at a second's notice.
Yeah. By the way, update from production. We will definitely 100% be getting the scoreboards before Game 4, so the players as well as you guys, the viewers, will know exactly what to expect and what the players need to do for that last game. Because, interesting note, the scoreboard will actually affect what players do. Obviously, the guys that are in the lower end of things that they need like 1,000 points to even get in. At that point, anything goes to them. They get a little bit crazy, but also close to like the top 5, it changes their play in very minute ways as well, saying, okay, we need like 500 points and this team needs to die, so maybe we play more aggressively than normal. And if we see that one team that needs to die, if they're getting down, maybe we go a little more aggressive, maybe we third party that, or if you're in first place, maybe play a little more conservatively, saying, okay, people are hunting us right now. If we go down in the kill feed, then we can be sure as hell that someone else is going to be coming in to try and take us out of the game as well. So playing more safer if you're in first place comes into play there as well. For you, Esquire, though, what do you think is like a more superior strategy to be playing these scenarios? I guess first place, holding your lead, but also in like the 2nd through 5th place, trying to maintain that. Do you play normal, do you think, or do you think that you definitely adapt to your position on the scoreboard?
I mean, I think if you're in 2nd or 3rd position, you play your game. You know, what you've been doing all afternoon, rather, in the first 3 games of the day, it's working.
Okay.
It might not be working first place well every game, but it's working. So don't shift off of it yet. Maybe in between week 1 and 2, you know, go back, VOD review it, make those small micro changes. But from a macro perspective, what you're doing is working. There are just other teams that what they're doing is working just a little bit better for them. But as you start to drop down into maybe those 4th through 8th placements, that's when you want to start thinking, you know, what shift do we need to make going into game 4 to possibly propel us into those payout slots, into those slots that get, you know, essentially granted access into the finals.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too, because it's like top 2 is where you want to be. Like, you know, 3rd place, you get $120. That's $40 per player, sure. But what you really want, what you're really looking for is more money, and also entry into Survival Sunday finale. That's really what you're looking for. That's where a lot of the money's at. That's where you want to be. That's where the real competition is at. And especially if you're a team where you're not looking for the easy win. You're looking for the good practice. You're looking for something that's more than just like $40, like dinner for you and like your girlfriend or something for that night. If you're looking for real practice, then the finale, you're going to get some practice. Hopefully you're practiced for the finale as well, because those are going to be some real hardcore games, as all the Survival Sunday League champions will be playing in that one. By the way, to talk a little more about that since we have some time. So I alluded to this a little bit before, and you can find this on most of our FirstBlood websites. So the way that you get into the finale, 14 slots are open for the 1st and 2nd place from weeks 1 through 7. That's going to be from here to near the end of February. This is week 1. So in week 8, those 14 teams will get in, but also there'll be 2 wild card teams. So those teams will be the ones that across the 7 rounds, one of which has the first points and didn't get qualified, and the other one who has the most kills and didn't get qualified. That is not aggregate. That is just on individual round performance. So if one team got like 1,060 points, and they got like a 3rd place, and no one else got that many points, and they didn't end up getting qualified, they would get a slot. Same thing for kills. If they got like 50 kills in one Survival Sunday, and no one else did, they don't have a slot, then they get the slot as well. So if these teams, I'm looking at particularly Mod Z with their explosive Game 3, if they can keep their kill counts up, and they can make sure that even if they don't get a top 3, maybe like a 4th place, just out of the money, just out of that placement, if they can get themselves a nice high kill or high point game, then there's always going to be incentive for playing well and playing for entry in the finale.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly right. You know, like the first thing you mentioned.
Oh, Crumsies. Okay.
Hey, it's a narrow margin, though. They're not too far ahead of Player One Esports. That's what, 24 points. That's not too big of a difference. A few plays here, a few plays there, and you're talking about 1st and 2nd place going up to different teams.
You know, if I'm not mistaken, this is actually a leaderboard grinding team from a place called Plausible, if I'm not mistaken. So the fact that these guys are in here and are absolutely showing up in this lobby is really nice. They've actually had, according to the scoreboards, a very, very good job of reacting to these hard-to-win zones, even to the point of taking down the Wizards in a very, very aggressive push from them, taking what they knew was one of the only good spots left. Second place, we have Player One Esports Latin America. We've been talking about them all day. We know how good they are. And then the Bottle Riders, still waiting for their first win, but sporting quite a few kills. Their name is sitting pretty at third place with 18 kills.
Yeah, Seal, just looking at this real quick. We only have one team that has gotten into double-digit kills so far on the day. That's Modzy Esports with their previous chicken dinner in game number 3. 15 kills to their name. Not a team even. I think the next closest kill count is going to be 9 kills. That's a 6-kill differential right there, and it's pretty significant.
Yep, that is a very, very good placement from Modzy Esports right there. We're looking to see how they set it in Game 4, as they're definitely one of the teams that are capable of getting first place. In fact, looking at the scoreboard, this is very tight, all the way down to 6th place. You know, once you look at the 4 Horsemen, they're 400 points away. They would need to kill, like, everyone in the top 5 and in the top 6, and then also get a first place themselves, or at least have them die early. Very hard for them to win. But for Moonwolf, 250-point deficit, that is absolutely doable. A lot of stuff needs to go right for them, but, you know, for them, almost, especially Modzy Esports, like, top 4 is incredibly close. We have never had a top 4 this close in Survival Sunday, I think, ever.
Yeah, and this sort of plays into what you had asked me a few minutes ago. You know, do you shift off your play style? Do you change things up? And, you know, if you're 1st through 4th, no,
play your
you
game.
Absolutely don't. All of y'all are so close to one another. All of y'all have been having pretty good performances. You know, a few missteps here, and you know, that's the difference between 4th place and 1st place right now. So I think Game 4 is going to have a lot of competition. Got to keep your eyes on Low Cromsy's Player One, Bottle Riders rather, and then Modzy Esports. But then also, definitely want to keep your eye on Team Almost, Moonwolf, the 4 Horsemen, and the free agents, just to see what are they going to be doing. We need huge games coming out of the 4 Horsemen and the free agents, and also just kind of maybe average games. A first place chicken dinner with maybe, you know, 8 kills to boot. That's going to be good for Moonwolf, but will it be enough to trump whatever score that those top 4 players or top 4 teams are racking up here in the final game? So a lot to be looking after. I mean, this is exactly how you want a game for the final game of the day to be shaping up.
Yep, a lot on the line for these players. I'm super excited to see how they're going to play. I 100% agree with what you were saying with Almost and Moonwolf. How are you going to play? Moonwolf, actually, no, both those players have teams with very strong personalities on them. Specifically, Moonwolf's play style, just super aggressive whenever they can be, and they have not been allowed to do that literally all day. They've gotten where they are off of placements and strategies that they're not good with. They're not known for playing the way that they've had to play. I think that Game 3 was a hell of a fluke as well, with Player One Esports saying, we pretty much know where you're going to drop, and we're just going to double drop you anyway. Because that was absolutely like a hate drop. Because you have one player in Milta Big, you have one player in Milta Small, which are 2 huge looting areas, a lot of loot there, and then you have 2 players hot dropping a 3-building compound. That is absolutely a play to push Moonwolf out. Maybe they saw the scoreboard and they were just like, hey, Moonwolf's this team to hate, or maybe they just wanted more loot security for themselves in future Moonwolf lobbies. Either way, I think that was a pretty aggressive power play from Player One Esports, and sadly, no Erangel game to see how that is going to flesh itself out, that little interaction. Hopefully we'll be able to see more of that in future Survival Sundays, but either way, Player One Esports showing that they are not to be trifled with.
For sure. And sort of to bounce back on what you said about Moonwolf, I just don't feel like they've had an opportunity to play out their strategy.
Exactly.
I think they have. I think they have a plan going into the game. I think they've got a strategy for that mid game, but they're kind of thrown into these chaotic situations where they haven't had an opportunity to recover from the chaos and reset back into the game, or the mindset rather, of, okay, this is what we need to be doing. We have a bit of a diversion off of the original plan, but let's get back on track.
I'm 100% agree with that. Also, it's a small but noticeable thing that's going on with them, in that they have a new player on their team. They have Akko, and they're also in the mindset of, like, you know, because they didn't perform that well at EPL. Okay, what is going wrong? What do we need to fix? So they're in for some growing pains right now, where they got to figure out what their errors are, and that kind of thing, and until they sort of rediscover themselves. I'm not gonna claim to know what's going through their heads, but this thing might be happening to them, where they're just trying to just figure out exactly how they want to play, what they want to do, how is this new player going to line up in their roster, because Moonwolf was a team that never actually had that, like, almost any roster changes for such a long time, and now to be going into this with, like, all of a sudden a new player, like that's probably a really weird thing for them. I don't blame them at all for that, for not playing 100% today.
No, I mean, yeah, for sure. It's a good thing to test sort of the limits. I don't know if limits is the best word for it, but sort of test the capabilities of your team, the strengths, the weaknesses, see how everyone's reacting as a new roster, making sure everything's jiving the way it should be. Because more so than a lot of esports, right? Team performance is so impactful in PUBG. If one player is, I guess it goes for a lot of esports, a lot of just team sports in general. One person is not on the same page, doesn't have that full confidence in, you know, whoever's the shot caller, whoever's making team decisions, it can really show. And being able to have that synergy also shows as well. You put up, you know, two teams side by side, equal fragging ability, all good aimers. You give one team that synergy, they feel good together, they work as a unit, and then you got one team that is sort of individual players, or they don't really have that chemistry. It's going to be the team with the synergy all day long that are going to be taking those engagements. I would be surprised if in a 1v1 scenario, the team without synergy got even one win, if you want.
Yeah, I mean, we saw kind of that coming out from Wizards in game 2 on Miramar when they were in a fight on, like, the edge of the zone. Who was it against? Goodness, it might have been Modsy Esport, but I don't remember exactly who it was against, which is going to be this whole story just fall flat on its face. But it is the northeast side of the zone. They were in a fight, and they had a great advantage going into it. But then, like, one player on the opposing team knocked two of them. O'Connell went for a flank, got traded out, and then rather than Wizards' fourth player going for that aggressive play, going for that finishing play, instead, he was going for a res, and two players on the Wizards got flushed for that, and they eventually lost the entire fight. It was a hugely clutch play from the opposing team, but if I'm being frank, the Wizards had, like, very little business losing that fight. I think that them playing more aggressively and realizing how each other are playing helps so much in that scenario. Obviously, with O'Connell being new to the team, and I don't know how new and synergistic the rest of the Wizards are, definitely seeing signs of a lack of synergy there. But that's why people play. That's why people grind. That's why you play and play and play, and don't switch your roster up every once in a while if there's, like, a small, like, hitch, because you're never just going to be able to find that snap synergy. It just doesn't exist. You need to work for it.
Any team that is newly formed and says they found that synergy, they're in that honeymoon phase, and some bad things are coming. Let me tell you,
it doesn't last.
But yeah, I mean, when teams can find that synergy, though, you really see some magical things pop off for them, both in game and out of game. I mean, everything from both I guess, like a mental well-being. I mean, you see these guys, they're just having more fun, right? They're having more fun. When you're having fun, generally, you're going to be practicing a little bit harder, practicing a little bit more, getting in those extra few hours. But regardless, Seal, game number 4, the final game of week number 1 of the First Blood Survival Sunday League is kicking off.
Hell yeah, and it's going to be a close game, as if you're just now tuning in, the leaderboards in the top 6 are quite close. A lot of teams that could be taken. We'll be seeing how they play here today. Really liking the drops I am seeing from Team Almost today. They have gotten Puerto Paraiso uncontested every single game. Moonwolf as well. Relatively uncontested. Raccoon Esport was making some very, very strange plays around them, but I think the power play from Moonwolf earlier on has forced them away, as they are now dropping in potentially the Picado area. Now, they will be flying over it, except for Alejo, who will be dropping alongside Livid, potentially looking for a car in that town.
Yeah, interesting. Seeing a fairly normal plane path. I would have never thought in Game 4 that we would finally be able to see players spread out to their heart's content almost. But sure enough, here, Seal, they are going to be able to do that. A few areas of, I guess, of interest. Los Leones, certainly. Going to be seeing Moonwolf under fire.
Oh,
rather,
no.
Rezu trying to go duck hunting. He's, has he landed? No, he has not landed the shot just yet. Incredibly difficult shots to hit, but I'll be damned if you're not taking them, you're missing out on those opportunities.
100% agree. I'm looking at, as the most awkward split right now, Modsy Esports. It's going to be the orange team in the Minas Generales La Bendita area. couple of car spawns. They're not that consistent. I'm not sure what the esports spawns look like around here. Hopefully they do, because they're going to need to rely on those car spawns. But besides the compounds they're looting right now, there really isn't that much. Like, there's individual high-value buildings, like what Rita is in right now. But, you know, what they're working with right now is very, very minimal as far as their gear goes. And being so split up as well is very dangerous. It was worse about 30 seconds ago when they had one player in the mines, which was already occupied by a different team. But I believe that was PLAYERUNKNOWN'S, who has now fallen back to the La Bandita area. But either way, low-value loot, long rotate to get into the west side of the zone. Not the best start for ModZ Esports.
Yeah, not the best start, you know, but who knows? Who knows what they're going to be able to pull out, Seal, in this final game. We've seen some crazier things happen. Let's just put it that way. We have seen some crazier things happen. Wouldn't it suck if you were just dead to rights this early in the game?
Yeah,
3 minutes in. All right, boys, that's it. That's as far as we're getting.
Although, you know, not dead to rights, but on the opposite end, we do have Lil Cromsies, who are in Monte Nuevo right now. That's the first place team, and they're dead center. You don't want to stay in Monte. It's not a great place to be. But if they can find out where they want to be and they can like react well, maybe get like a 2-2 split up, get a lot of surface area, hold those spots going into phase 2, then they have all the tools they need to get into a damn good spot for the mid game.
Yeah, no, I mean that's exactly right. That's exactly right. Is anything kind of sticking out to you as problematic for any
Polar
of these teams
Ace
that have to rotate
just
off the
arriving
Eastern
to their
Coast?
loot?
Yeah, that can usually serve as problematic, I guess, especially if you're going up towards Campo Militar. Good loot, but it does take a while to get through that loot, and given the rotation path that they have to take all the way down to the southwest, it's I don't know.
4 minutes in, and they're finding their first rifle.
I mean, yeah, and it sort of plays off of what you were talking about. You know, Miramar. Yeah, this doesn't play into, you know, not knowing Miramar. Maybe it does. Who knows? But you got to be quick to make those decisions. And if you're not able to adapt, you find yourself driving all the way off to a polar corner of the map and having to make the farthest rotation on the map as well. It's just not where you want to be early.
Although, to be fair, I'm pretty sure that Polar Ace almost always does that. Oh, look at this, though. Queso doesn't actually know that there's a player in water treatment, and he, landing one shot onto him, who's softening up this player a little bit, does allow Refray to have a slightly better opportunity if he does decide to push into this. And look at this, playing very, very quietly. He has the close range vector, so he can't actually play these long angles that well. He needs to be reacting to the information that Queso gives him. He knows exactly where Harold is. Harold has not spotted out Refray, and a second VSS shot landing, finally, he's probably shot like 100 rounds on him at this point, will be land, and the VSS is just hard to use. It's not his fault. So, but Refray, 1v1 vector when your opponent's at 50 HP, that's winnable, and that's a pretty good pickup early on, especially if it's that second place team.
Yeah, 100%. You know, not a bad position to be in. Refray going to be peeking around this water treatment area, trying to spot out Harold, who has now found some shelter on the southern edge. Pretty much the most southern compound that he can get. And if Refray continues to kind of hold these elevated angles on top of the containers, he might be able to spot out through a window or possibly through a retreat of Harold coming off of that southern edge, but has to continue to stay diligent, has to continue to watch these peaks, as we're now starting to rather see more and more action popping off. Nims able to find a nice headshot with the SKS on top of Avenged.
San Martin, I think, if I'm not mistaken here. We see that very, very light blue team versus the dark brownish orangish team. They were already able to take down Slippy Zerg. Geeker losing his peak battle as well. No push coming out quite yet, but that small pillar is not enough cover for a res. He's going to need a smoke grenade to supplement his concealment and maybe get res at that point. Looking over here, Seda T is coming in for reinforcements. So the push comes out, the call is made. Walk on the left, and Nims on the right. Seda holding his ground, going now for the res despite the onslaught. And oh my god, the frag coming in at just the right time. Walk TV going in for the punish, spots him out, goes the M4 spray, loses some HP, but gets the kill in the process. And looking around, I don't see a single other player from the Avengers in. Actually, I have no idea where they. Oh my god, they're over here. The XH had nothing to do with this. You save him, I'm going home, man. I'm going to center their zone, and quite frankly, probably the right play. Then, oh my God, making some Hot Wheels action coming out here as his off-road loses his back tire, dismounts in the middle of an open field, and at this point in the game, with a team as aggressive as the Bottle Riders, this is old P9. They're known for how aggressive, for how little respect they give you. I would not be surprised to see this team run out, get this kill, and secure this area early, and that's exactly what Apple is gonna do. He's going for these hills. He's trying to go around XH while I think that his Reno holds the angle. Although it will be a little bit slow, as we know, XH does begin, trading his ground, going back a little bit. But these are long-range shots to make. But as I say that, God, Apple with the Mini, the exact right gun in that scenario, taking XH out of this game, taking the Avengers out of this game in 16th place.
Yeah, interesting to see that go down. A lot of kind of awkward rotations happening. Maybe loose scouts, awkward rotations. I don't know what you want to call them. Yeah, loose, because, I don't even know, but looking at where Mime is, he pretty much in a dead circle. His teammates trying to at least rotate around that far southwestern bend up through Via de Mar, and hopefully to where he is. We're around that Ladreria area, making their way up this very dangerous road. If there are enemy players on the sides of these mountains, this is quite a choke point to be in. Thankfully for Evasion, though, and his teammates, Yusugal and the rest of the team, almost, they're going to be able to rotate uncontested up to their teammate Mime and hold down in this bit of a valley as more and more teams have that same rotation path in mind, trying to make their way around that southeastern bend, and it's going to be Gluttony spotted out, taken down out of his vehicle. The four horsemen going to be losing one of those four horsemen, as Gluttony will be flushed out of the game to Galatasaray Esports.
Going into the end game as the three horsemen. Did that with an iron sight scar too, so not an easy feat for sure. So huge props to him, to be honest. Looking back at the center of our zone for a little bit, we do have the little Cromsies going for the idea that I made, going for the split, holding as much train as they can. I like this a lot. I almost would like to see them make this a little bit further, but this is certainly enough for now. If you go too far, then all of a sudden you have to fight people like Kawish, who appears to be floating in the sky, going up against Firefight. I'm sure he's on top of some rocks. Wait, what? Okay. First, I've never seen rocks not load. That is really weird. But yeah, Kawish doing some scouting for the rest of his team for the Bottle Riders as Lil Cromsies arrive in the compound. It looks like Kawish has spotted that out. Might try and pop some tires, might try and punish us a little bit. But either way, even if that does happen, Cromsies are still in a great spot.
Yeah, I mean, exactly right. Looking all right. They're trying to play that consistency game, right? First place on the global leaderboards, at least for today, but not by far. They're going to have to hold out as long as possible. Placement points are going to be the name of the game. Not many teams have been able to rack up massive kill counts today. So again, you just want to play the game you've been playing. Don't over-aggress into anything that you don't get anything out of. You got to weigh those risk rewards of these engagements, especially right now in game number 4, with those first 4 positions being within 100 points of one another.
100%. 10 minutes into the game, zone closing in now. A bunch of teams have been able to find some decent spots here in phase 1. As we do see Bottle Riders forming up on the north side, Livid getting a bunch of compounds on the southeast. Monty is still being occupied, surprisingly. I'm a little surprised to be seeing little Cromsies holding the west side of Monty. It does let you see quite a bit. They're actually, as well, leaving the compound that Bottle Riders was above, and saying that we don't want to get camped today. If there's 4 players up there, leaving gets a lot harder. They're now going to the much safer, much more difficult to camp compound on the south side. Minute before the shrink, a bunch of warning shots are being let out, but even if Livid gets a knock here, almost certainly going to get rezzed.
Yeah, certainly not in a
that's a good
position
pickup
to recover. Yeah, I mean, exactly. Not a bad pickup right there.
And they're trying to protect their own cars. It looks like that they will be able to get them to safety as we're going between these players, seeing what they have to work with. And between their cars, between their scopes and their guns, Livid looking great going into this game. Scopes and rifles all around.
Scopes and rifles all around. The blue zone shrinking in now on phase number 1, so we're starting to see the landscape being set here for the mid to late game and with the final game of the day, and making that far rotation. Wouldn't have expected this team to still be in the blue. I would have thought it would have been Polar Ace all the way up on Campo Militar, but
my
no,
God,
sure enough, they are entering in off that east.
What loot?
Oh, yeah, we've got 2 teams. Smash Bay all the way down there to the south, and then all the way up here to the north.
You know, I'm curious about Polar Ace. Like, what loot do they have right now? Because they went to... Wow, I can't believe it. Okay, enough meds on Infamous to loot tank for quite a bit. His teammates, 4 first aids, a couple of stims, I'd assume, enough for like they're actually doing surprisingly okay on anything that they would really want, even a car to each player. Like they're actually doing pretty much okay.
Yeah, they're not looking bad.
Okay.
Like, given how they started the game, I mean, they made the rotation just in the nick of time. And speaking of that, they're going to have to continue on with that rotation. Next circle pop in phase 2. Yep, exactly right. Hard shift down to the south that these players will be facing off against some very far rotations up from the north.
Looks like we did have a small crash occur. Hopefully we can get that fixed here soon. I do have the still screen of the map, though, so I can still discuss what's going on here. As the map did end up hard shifting down to the south side. There was one team that was in the town. Oh, God, what is it called? Val Del Mar, if I'm not. How am I forgetting this? I love that town. How am I forgetting the name of it? There was one team that was in there still. Team almost was going for a great rotation, as was it Livid and Cromsy. Cromsy is a little bit slow on that one, though. This is mostly speculation right now because I am looking at my face and not the game screen. But they did not react to it right away. And also with the zone hard shifting south, there's a couple of teams that are already in there. That being said, most of the teams that were in the game at that point were on the north and east sides. So quite a few teams maybe scattering into their cars, going as far as they can, as fast as they can. And honestly, that south side, like to fight in, is disgusting. Like there's like the 2 roads that lead to Val Del Mar, and a giant hill between the 2 of them. And if at any point, and there's like kind of like the same thing on like the other side of that road that goes to Val Del Mar. And I honestly hate this zone because it feels like if you ever have to like leave one of these mountainsides, you're just dead.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult, almost synonymous to having to cross a channel on Erangel or something, something to that effect. It's a death sentence. Like you said, one of those hills is so steep that you can't even traverse it. One misstep and you're falling to your death. From the eastern hill, and then the western hill, it's got a little bit more area to play. But if the circle shifts that way, you got to be one of those teams to actually get over there, and it's only going to become increasingly difficult with, like you said, more and more teams starting to at least maybe in the circle, but starting to reposition a little bit further down south. And as we know, circle gets smaller, play closer, action begins to pop off. So yeah, it's not going to be easy. The players are still in game. We have the opportunity to talk about this and think strategy, but they're living it right now. So I'm interested to see how things sort of develop over these next few minutes in game, because this is the meat of it. I mean, this is the final game. We talked about it, a lot on the line. 4 teams in contention for not just maybe the top 3.
Oh my God!
Top first place.
So much color, Esquire. There's people everywhere in this map, especially this northwest side. I'm looking around here, and oh no, this is actually really bad for little Cromsies. One of the teams that's way closest in this rotation. Looking over here, before we could talk about that, we have the Bottle Rise trying to get some rotates, trying to get Player One Esports, EarnXZR, out of his vehicle. I don't see any of his teammates. Hopefully he's not the last one there, as he does spin up from his buggy and is still receiving fire here from this team, running for the hills, literally. Kanye 2020 making their way in from the north at the same time. Real quick, is EarnXZR like the last player on his team? Is he the last hope for Player One Esports? No, but Sizzy is dead, so this isn't a great spot for them.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, they're in a tough spot right now. CZ going to be bleeding out here in the blue zone as the rest of the players start to navigate this area, continue to try to find those entryways off of this northern flank, and they're going to be met with resistance. Nice shots coming out from Earn, able to find the connection on top of Gangrene, but still having to worry about some other members from this Kanye 2020 squad.
Walk
as
TV.
Nims now left as a solo player. Team Hades feeling the hurt right now from, I believe that's Panzer. Yeah, Panzer and the rest of his team of the Cromsies.
This is not a great spot to be right now if you're Hades. Walk TV subbing in, a great player in his own right, so definitely get that res life if you can. Cromsy spotting that out, trying to get the shots through the smoke, but it will not happen. Cromsy, it's good that they're able to somewhat secure their side of the zone, but I'm stressing this, man. Like, this is not a good spot to be. Like, they're at the edge. They have the most amount of teams compared to anyone else between them and the new zone. The only thing they got to hope for is that they get some sort of a lucky opportunity to cross the road if they have to. If they don't have to cross the road, it's going to be fine. But with the new zone popping, oh my God. I have never seen a zone here on this west side. This is really interesting. So in center zone right now, we do have Galactus, oh my God, Galactus Array, who is literally center zone, and next to them in, I think, the second place, right? This is Mods Esports, which is like 4th place. Doesn't matter, one of the top 4.
Yeah, yeah. It really doesn't matter. Essentially, they're all first place. Top four are essentially tied based off of how close it is, but certainly not a position that they want to be in. Almost completely exposed down here on the hill to the
Rita doesn't care.
Galatasaray Esports. But yeah, nice shot going to be coming up. Modz's Rita able to find an SKS connection on top of one of the members of Galatasaray Esports. And they're going to be forced to now throw out the smokes. This utility, especially given this zone, you sort of mentioned it's still a very difficult zone to work off of. This utility in the late game is going to be very valuable if you're able to keep it until then. But the shots continue to come out. Moonwolf trying to traverse through that valley, wide exposed to the shots of Team Almost. Yasugo going to be spraying down with the M416, finding a few connections. None of them going to be fatal enough to drop any of the Moonwolf players out of their vehicles, but certainly
Almost can't let this happen, man. They're letting like almost every single car. Like he actually zoomed in on the 6X there. Like this is pretty bad actually for Almost to be allowing this many cars by. This is gonna make the rest of the game that much harder for them. And actually, look at this. They're even getting what is going on? They're even crashing in. Easiest kill of Mime's life here. Then getting down, so someone just figured they could crash it, but that's not gonna end up happening. Hike getting downed and out from this fight. And looking over here on the northwest side as Bottle Riders taking down Cromsies. Oh my god, barely. Oh, almost died from hitting the tree and now getting over the ridge. Both players at 1 HP just heal. I can't believe they're still alive right now.
Yeah. Absolutely insane right there. Kanye 20
oh my god,
goes down in 15th position as the Cromsies roll up with a sliver of HP into the northern side of the circle. The other teams are having difficulties trying to do the same. Moonwolf's washout going to be catching out Buyu Kai of the Four Horsemen, drops him down and out, very separated off from his remaining teammates. That's going to be all she wrote for that Horseman, as they are forced to continue on with possibly just one player left. Uno down to the south, but up here towards the northeastern side, Team Almost is spraying down yet another squad. The remainder of Moonwolf trying to make their way in. Edgecow's going to be dropped out, Rezu as well.
All right, cut out there for a little bit, so I hope I'm not talking over you there, Esquire. That being said, center zone is looking quite populated at the moment. Quite a few players are in it, but the edges are looking pretty hot as well as Platinum getting it down to Sumatra as they come in from the edge. Livid led last player up from Livid as his teammate did just go down. Try to run in from the edge with Platinum and the rest of Raccoon Esports on the southwest and to his direct south Team Almost. It's going to be a very, very hard send. That being said, Buggy's leaving Led hears that this is an opportunity for him to potentially get into zone for Led, that is. And, you know, at this point, surviving this onslaught at all is just a miracle.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much the best that anyone could hope for at this point, is not going out in these top maybe 10th or 16th positions. If you're one of those top 4 teams, these are the moments that you really clinch up, yeah. Right? That have you sweating. You know, you gotta be wiping the hands on the pants, keeping the mouth dry. But Polar Ace is gonna have one of the easiest rotations of anyone in the circle, from all the way up to the northeastern Campo Militar down here to the south of what is about to be phase number 4. About 10 seconds until that zone will be closing. But pretty insane just how this game has transpired. It's pretty nailed.
Dude, I'm surprised that Modz Esport has been able to hold on this long, without any pressure. And look at this, a hard shift back to the north. Modz, Bottle Riders, Raccoon, they're all feeling okay about this as they don't have to come anymore. Raccoon not quite spotting out him being dead here. But Bottle Riders, that team in the pink, and the team in the orange, these are 2 teams I'm looking at being like, huh. Okay, so Bottle Riders has a compound, so that's really good. But Modz Esport have been outside this entire time. I'm actually not sure how they haven't been shot yet. I guess they have some sort of defilade. There's a ton of it on Miramar. But this particular spot, you know, it's like between 2 hills. It doesn't look that good, but they're making it work.
Yeah, and that's essentially what you have to do. I mean, not everywhere is going to be favorable, especially in these Miramar games. You don't know the terrain exactly well. Like I mentioned, so many different unique features that you don't see replicated on any other area of the map, that these remaining 12 teams, 39 players, are going to have to maneuver if they've got their eyes set on not just the first place here in the game, maybe a top 3 placement here in the game, but on enough points to hopefully propel them into those top positions on the leaderboards. I mean, you know, Seal, we've mentioned it a few times, but unlike any other First Blood Survival Sunday series, there's a lot more on the line than just cash. We got more cash, but also entry into the final I guess the finals at the end of the season. So it's a lot. It's certainly a lot that these players are competing
And I would
for.
guess right now that we have about 6 teams that are fighting tooth and nail for exactly that. Wizards, a team that has been relatively quiet this game as well, under almost no pressure, having almost certainly full armor in a spot that is going to be in the game for quite a long time. But look at this on the east side, almost making a push up. They have taken out Lazy J from free agents, but little do they know that Raccoon Esports is coming up right now. Riozen does get the trade onto Yuso, so he's not going to be getting res, and they don't even know that he's here yet. But Garcia coming over this ridge, stealing that kill away from the enemy team. But evasion available for the trade potentially, but those long-range shots are not going to be good enough, and Platinum turning on him with a 3x AK, almost sending him out of the game. Invasion able to get back home, get back under the ridge in time, potentially getting the res onto Garcia. Marlon left to hold this angle in his stead. Meanwhile, though, almost able to back up a little bit, get the res, and continue this push as 3. So definitely not a bad spot for almost to be in right now, considering how bad it looks on paper.
Yeah, a lot of teams are in, I guess, kind of tough spots to try to maneuver out of. If you're not engaged in combat right now, then it's only a matter of time before you move a few meters and find a team right below you, as Raccoon 5 Esports continues to try to apply the pressure down the hill on the team almost, but they're not able to get those last few fatal shots out. A knock could be very important right now for Marlon, but he's actually going to opt to retreat off of this, taking damage in that retreat, drop down to about maybe 40 HP and forced inside of the shack, has to stall that retreat, and this is going to give a window of opportunity to Team Almost to continue this push up the hill led by Tanaka.
At this point, he's Marlon is hoping that the team to the west that third-partied him will in turn third-party Team Almost. That's the only thing that'll keep him alive, is someone else stopping this push, because that shack, no way in hell is that going to be enough. Meanwhile, what's going on here in the middle of the zone? Someone's just sending it. Rita Lel just driving around in the middle of the zone, and that's why Free Agent had actually pushed onto this spot from under. And while it was able to keep them safe from the high ground to the south and the north, they had no idea that they were getting pushed from the east. Now, Rita Lel in the middle of the zone, able to send it around all of these teams, is the last hope alive for Mod Z Esports. She does get zoned, though.
Last hope alive. Yeah, it does get zoned, so at least that's going to be working in favor for them. Rita trying to pretty much do whatever she can. You know, we saw Mod Z Esports in a similar position. Granted, they had 3 other teammates on our last Erangel game, but Rita was the solo player pushed out, sort of securing that circle position. So we'll see how they're going to be able to play off of this. 10 teams still remaining, 29 players alive, and the Wizards are going to be holding a gatekeeping position against this wide open position that Polar Ace Esports has to cross. Loganberry going to be spotted out, Darth Vapor as well as Infamous. Shots now coming out, the pressure being applied by O'Connell, but also pressure going to be returned. Dicer on the Wizards dropped down to maybe 35 HP. Forced to possibly reconsider this, try to examine the area, get a little bit more information, and be careful about any squads aggressing.
These smokes from Polarace are really good. They're actually shrouding the windows of the Wizards, allowing them to get quite close, Polarace, up to these ridges at very close range. Now that they're in close range, now that they're in the zone, they can kind of play this fight however they want. Infamous is still in the back, and he cannot afford to get knocked. If he gets knocked, he is dead. But oh no, coming in from the side, coming in from the far north, it's, oh god, who is that? This little Cromsies who's third-partying this fight. Panzernack are able to take Loganberry down, and now all that's left as cover are these small trench lines. These trees that only provide cover from one direction will not be enough. And now Infamous, who previously I was a little bit worried for playing so far away from his team, is now pretty much the only hope. He needs to find a knock. He needs to create an opportunity for his team. But looking at this, the zone's coming in. He doesn't think he can do it, and now will be joining his team in the 3v4 against a team already in the company. Oh my god, peeking an entire team, someone not getting knocked. The frag going in the window. Is it going to be enough? It's not. No kills from that explosion.
Yeah, no kills, but a lot of pressure actually being applied, possibly enough to allow his remaining teammates from Polar Ace to get to safety inside of this concrete brick building, but dangerously nearby to 4 of the Wizards, as Infamous tries to make that same trek across these wide open desert hills. It's not going to be easy, but the damage being applied, forcing O'Connell to drop down into the prone position inside of the shack, get that first aid rolling as the remaining Wizards continue to look off to that west, trying to spot out the members of Polar Ace, who have now been able to to secure a position inside of the southwest corner of circle number 5. Unfortunate though for, I believe that's it's gonna be player 1 Latin America. They're gonna find Earn drop down and out, flushed out of the game, still having at least a few one player left, Harold
somewhere. Actually. Yeah, I don't know where he's just the northwest. The 2 solo snake, Rita and Harold. A match made in heaven for these 2 snakes. We'll be seeing if they can survive for long enough or they find each other. For now, though, Polar Race under an unbelievable amount of pressure. So many windows, so many firing ports, and Wizard is in control of all of them. Look at this, Obi-Wan O'Connell pushing out from his building, playing these barrels. This is such a good spot for him to be playing. And look, they don't even have to move. Wizards, they're not in a great spot, but right now, the only other team that can really contest them, Bottle Riders, like they're fine too. So. Well, actually, we haven't even really talked about Bottle Riders too much. Bottle Riders have gotten center zone for about 3 zones in a row. They're still in center zone, probably going to be in a really good spot. But looking at this, Infamous getting the nice headshot into Karis. Could be an opening, but all it does is even the odds to a 3v3. But Darth Vapor making a move. Is this it? Nope, definitely not, because O'Connell finds him right away.
Yeah, almost the move. Nubacabra going to be dropped down as well, leaving just Infamous to push up to this building where his 2 fallen teammates were previously holding. It's not going to be easy for him, though. Nubacabra going to be flushed out of the game. Darth Vapor bleeding out as well, and ultimately, the shots come out from Eris with the M16 headshot, dropping down Infamous and Polar AC Sports in 10th position. 9 teams remaining. The circle going to be landing up on top of, that's Renalock and the rest of his team. Oh my God,
they still have 4 up. How?
Yeah, somehow they still have 4 up. The Bottle Riders continuing on here, but also the Cromsies. This is exactly what they needed to do. They had to make it into the late game. 9 teams still remaining, but they are on the right track to try to walk away with that first place here in week number 1.
Some logistics figured out. They're running on empty as far as ammo goes. The zone's coming in. Dusty and Krusty, 2 players on the smoking bike, needing to go in right now. Bottle Rider's not able to make this stop this from happening. Oh my God, get out of that bike before it goes over the hill. Does take the ridge line, and look at this. The only players that are left on the other side are solos on the flank angle from this ridge, that is. They're not going to be able to punish these 3 players. They did lose 1 player in the transition, but as far as this movement goes, this was a great play from them. But oh my God, the frag almost working out. Apple smells the blood in the water and wants to make something happen. He does get Nevada with 1 frag. Is it going to be enough? He's sending them. He's just chucking frags at these guys, but not able to actually confirm a kill with them.
Yeah, I mean, essentially what you have to do, if you're not getting kills, at least you're putting pressure out on that northern position, but they need to still be careful. The Bottle Riders have a dominant hold, but can they play off of it? Certainly you can have that position, but you got to be able to protect it. You got to keep that head on a swivel, and you got to be able to put out damage. Pressure is not going to be enough to take you from 8th place into 1st place as Alco. The remaining, I swear, every time we look at Moonwolf in the mid to late game, 1 player remaining, 6 kills to their name, 4 kills on Akko, as he continues to try to do whatever he can to advance his position further and further into the game. At this point in time for Moonwolf, it's all about what you can do here going forward as a learning experience.
Snake v Snake combat. Rita Lel has proven herself to be the superior one in this instance. Made a little bit of noise, but this small bit of defilade will be enough to keep her safe for now, using her last first aid kit, but chunking a little bit, but is able to staying alive for now. But look at this. These 2 strong points. Well, spot out from the Wizards, taking down Mod Z Esports in 7th place. But like I was saying, 2 strong points are still in. It's going to be Team Bottle Riders as well as Lil Cromsies in the middle and the north side. The real question is, how are the Wizards going to react? They're one of the only teams with 3, actually they're the only other team with 3 up right now on the far southwest side. Getting a knock onto Apple as well, this could allow them an opening to potentially push off the road. As we see on the minimap, they do have quite a ways to go and not much cover to do it. With that knock and a couple of smoke grenades, though, they will try to make it happen as they begin advancing across the road.
Yeah, half of our teams are inside of phase number 7, circle number 7. Half of our teams still needing to make that transitions. Dicer from the Wizards going to be crossing the road through smoke concealment, taking a lot of damage. His teammate Aeros in the I guess the trail of him, also going to be taking damage, popping onto this bike, sitting at Karis and O'Connell, trying to make their way to the next bit of defilade to avoid any more damage being applied from these northern positions. Little Cromsy is going to be eliminated. A Molotov acting against Dusty and Krusty will be taking them down and out in 6th position. 5 teams now remaining, 12 players alive. We thought Cromsies were going to be walking away with another solid game to end the day, but it's going to be ended shortly, at least a little bit shorter than they would have hoped, as the Wizards still have at least a little bit of terrain to maneuver, making their way.
This is an amazing spot. Wizards might have done it unless they get demolished by these snakes. That'd be enough. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! The frag from Akko and the third piece onto Dicer does barely go down. I think that Wizards might be able to be okay from this, but Dicer needs to get the Resident O'Connell and Chorus right away. He can't heal. He needs to go right away. And the question is, how do Bottle Riders react? They're playing out from their buildings, but they don't quite know exactly what is going on here. And getting to these down players just in the nick of time. Free agents not willing to push out. Tanaka here is a snake as well. And now Bottle Riders just running around saying, where are they? I want to get these kills. I need to figure out where everyone is first, though. And that will give Wizards enough time to get all 4 players up from a nearly devastating situation.
Yeah, absolutely insane there. The fact that Wizards were able to recover is actually insane as well. They needed it.
Third place.
Spot out Tanaka. Down goes team almost in 4th position. That's going to be Arrows on a rampage. 5 kills to their name as they continue on. 9 kills in total for the Wizards. They do not want to let up just yet. A 4v4v2 situation now.
Oh my god.
As the free agents try to hold down to this eastern side of the hill, trying
oh
to
my
avoid
god.
the grenade damage.
One frag kills them.
From north to north in the south.
One well-placed frag kills the Wizards. 3 came out from Bottle Riders. None worked. None hit them. They're holding them off on the right. Black going down from the free agents. Holding off on the left as well. But the trade coming in. Ryozen making a huge play once again. Wizards are just frag magnets as Ryozen with a huge play takes him down. Arrows trying to make his own plays work, but a frag bouncing off the body of Karis somehow doesn't kill, but oh no, the second one, that's going to be enough. And now look at this. Just because they're a new name does not mean that they're showing up with some old skill. Bottle Riders, old P9, coming in with 8 kills in that game with a pretty stellar end game, pushing out at just the right time to gobble up all those kills.
I gotta ask, Seal, what is the picture of for the Bottle Riders?
It is cropped is what it is. I don't want to talk about it.
I gotta ask. Bottle Riders, if you're in chat, let us know, because I'm curious.
I think it's from like a really old, like 80s or 90s, it almost looks like one of those old fantasy comics. You know what I'm talking about?
Sure.
Kind of like that D&D-esque style art.
Okay, yeah, no, I got you on that. But an interesting day for sure. Exciting games. Games 1, 2, and 3 were incredibly aggressively played by all teams. Essentially, no one was playing passive. And then we saw, as the leaderboards developed, going into Game 4, a little bit more methodical gameplay coming out from these teams. No one wanting to be that first team to go out. I think we had some eyes on the kill feed, kind of waiting and hoping that some of those other teams chasing first place were going out early.
I was definitely looking at that myself as well, as a person who's very invested in all these teams going out. And you saw how desperately these teams wanted to cling to their top positions. Rita driving away, hanging on for so long. Lil Crumsies as well, just playing their hearts out, but eventually dying to... It was literally their own Molotov, but they were probably dead anyway. They made the only play they could have, and I'm glad they did. It got them so far into the game, but not much beats getting hard shifted on 4 or 5 times in a row, and Bottle Raiders just able to just take that all the way to the bank, just laugh and just say, ah. And I don't remember exactly where they were on the leaderboard before that, but I think it was pretty damn high.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely wasn't low. We've seen some pretty good performances from the Bottle Riders so far on the day. 4 games having been played. I'm not sure where they're going to end leaderboards, but I get them right. They had that compound pretty much the entirety of the mid to late game. They didn't have to push out. They had 4 live, but recognizing we got 4 live, there's only 11 players left in the lobby. We know that no one else is in this compound. It's our time, guys. We got to play a little bit confident. We got to swoop around. They went around the northern side, wrapping east, and then they collapsed on the remaining threats in the lobby. And that game could have gone a little bit differently had they not pushed. We could have seen some 1v2, some 1v3 scenarios, but I think that's what really secured.
Well, you gotta remember what Ryozen did as well, because we saw first Akko from Moonwolf get a triple with a frag, and then we saw Ryozen do the exact same thing. Took out 2 players with a frag, a third one out, and I don't really blame Wizards for either event happening. Like, one was a snake that they just didn't see, and he almost wiped an entire squad, which would have been nuts, but didn't quite make it happen. And Ryozen did so defensively as well. And at that point where Wizards was at, they were frag bait. Like, we saw Bottle Riders trying to make it happen. Like 2 or 3 frag grenades deflecting off the rock at the top of the hill. The elevation that Wizards had, just barely making that throw impossible for the Bottle Riders. But they tried. They chucked 4 or 5 frags up there and tried to make it work. But free agents who didn't have that rock in the way, who were a little bit higher in elevation, were able to make that work. And by the time Wizards were finally able to clean up the free agents on the right side, taking down Ryozan, that pesky 3K cockroach right there, according to the Wizards, I'm sure, it was already a 1v4. The damage had been done, and it was an easy scoop for the Wizards from that point, getting themselves probably one of the easiest wins of the night. And there it is. Converting from that win, even if they get in the top 4 with their position as well, that's a 200+ point deficit, definitely earning that first place position Bottle Riders done. So congratulations, Bottle Riders, $400 to your name, as well as entry to the Survival Sunday finale come the end of February. Congratulations as well to Lil Cromsies, the literal underdogs. In the name, they're tiny, they're small, but they are powerful, getting second place by 68 points. That is like 4 or 5 kills. That is the difference between second and third place. PLAYERUNKNOWN'S Esports playing a great game as well, getting in the money, but not getting in the placement. Almost Modsy and Moonwolf all playing their hearts out as well, but not quite enough. A bunch of teams playing their hearts out today. Thank you guys for putting on a great show.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you didn't walk away with first place, you didn't walk away with some cash in your pocket. At the least, you walked away with some experience, maybe with a new team, maybe with a new roster on your team. A lot to be learned, but also a lot to be gained here on FirstBlood throughout the rest of the season. Seal, we got more weeks of this coming up.
Yeah, and I'm looking forward to be seeing what these teams can do, because I'm pretty sure Little Cromsy, like I might be mistaken, but I'm pretty sure there are 2 teams that come from a Discord called Plausible. It's kind of like a new EXP sort of deal, and I'm pretty sure that this is one of those teams. Like, I got a question asking me, like, I gotta make sure my squad's playing. They may be playing with another guy. I'm not sure if that's what's going on. And now this team of, like, this throw together team of leaderboard grinders and pub fraggers getting second place in a lobby with, with pretty good teams. Moonwolf. We got Wizards, which definitely has some good names on it. What are they called? Player One Esports. They look solid the entire time. They proved themselves making intelligent play after intelligent play. I remember in Game 4, I was looking at Little Cromsies. I was saying I'm really worried about their spot they're in. If they have to, like, move significantly at all, they're just going to be boned. And they did. But they continued making it work, playing edge. They didn't die. They just hung on for so long, running out of ammo, running low on fuel, running low on resources, but they held on for so long in the worst of spots, eventually burned themselves alive, which is a bit of a yikes. But either way, Bottle Riders wins that fight easy, so it's just like, I am very impressed with Little Cromsies.
Me too. I don't think, coming into today, if you ask me, Esquire, you think Little Cromsy is going to walk away with a top placement on the end of the day? I said, who?
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, this is the first week. So, I mean, we talked about the prizes that people won today. We talked about the placement, what first place gets in terms of slotted into the finals. But we haven't really talked about what this means going forward. A lot of unknowns coming into week 1 of the Survival Sunday League. Now, I think maybe some teams that didn't know of some of these other teams, specifically the Cromsies, they're going to be a little bit more concerned about them going forward. There's a little bit more that needs to be put. I wouldn't say it's respect, but maybe a little bit more weight towards some of the other teams here in this lobby that were unknown factors, essentially, before today. Unknown
factors, but also looking at the lobby and saying, if I'm on the outside looking in, being like, wait, who's that guy? Wait, we're totally better than that team. Let's just go qualify and kick their butts in the finale. I think there's going to be a lot of that too, from teams that that might think that, like, they're the best guys around, and maybe getting proven right, maybe getting proven wrong. But either way, there's only one way to find out, and that's to play in Survival Sunday and then maybe meet them in the finale. That being said, that has been it from us today. Tune in next week for another Survival Sunday, but also we're going to be having some interviews coming out soon, so keep an eye on the FirstBlood channel throughout the week to be seeing any content we push. I believe we're having one tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. Either way, stay tuned. More PUBG content coming to you guys throughout the week. I've been Seal, joined by Esquire. Have a good night, guys.